Be seated. Folks, have a seat.
What is your name, sir?
Matthew Dutney.
And you are the father of?
Robert Dutney.
And you are?
Taylor Lar.
You were in the car with him?
Yes.
Who was driving?
I was, ma'am.
And you weren't there?
No, ma'am.
You can sit down.
Thanks.
You too. Sit. You were all at a party?
Yes.
Yes.
Whose house?
Friend Cam's.
What was it a party for?
A barbecue for the family.
How is he related to the family?
He's not.
How did he get to the party?
He was invited by her sister.
What time did he get there?
It was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
What time had the barbecue started?
At about 4.
Was it your intention to get to the barbecue late?
No, it wasn't my intention to go at all. I went because she was going.
So she was invited?
Yes.
You were not invited, you went as her guest?
Yes.
And what time did you decide to leave?
Like 15 minutes after we were there.
So, tell me what happened.
They were asked to leave, is why they had left.
No.
Shh, I don't want you to answer. First, who asked them to leave?
Cam.
Did you ask them to leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you stand up? Why did you ask them to leave?
There was a few people that brought to my attention that they brought drugs.
Who brought drugs?
That Taylor and Robbie brought special cookies. And with us having little kids running around, we didn't need that around. So
you asked them to leave?
Me and my mother.
They had
yes.
the cookies there.
I'm
Absolutely
not talking
not.
to you. Now do you understand?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So me and my mom did ask them to leave.
Did he ask you why you were asking them to leave?
They knew.
No, tell me what they knew.
Well, they knew that we asked them to leave because they had brought drugs.
Who told them that?
We did.
Well, that's my question.
Yeah.
Did you tell them why
Yes.
you were asking them to leave?
Yep.
I want you to tell me what you said to him and what he said to you.
Me and my mom approached them. They were sitting on the sofa. We asked them to leave because...
No, I want to hear the words, not we asked them to leave.
Okay.
You didn't say we asked them to leave. You said to him, I want you to go.
I said, yes.
I don't want you to parrot what I said. I want you to tell me what you said to them and what their response was to you.
Well, I said, Robbie and Taylor, you need to leave. We are aware that you brought drugs here. We can't have that here. Okay. And
Was
they
there
got
any
up
response?
and left. They just got up and walked out of the house.
Didn't say anything.
No.
Okay, fine. Then what happened outside?
I was inside cleaning up from supper, helping Cam's mother, and all of a sudden I hear, "Stop, stop, you're hitting her truck." And somebody hollers, "Misty, they just hit your car." So I go running outside as I'm watching Taylor's van going down the back side of my new truck.
Taylor, that would be you.
Yes.
Now you can stand.
What she said is false.
I'm not asking you anything. I just told you to stand. You got outside and saw what?
The front of Taylor's van going down the back side of my truck and proceeding to go down the driveway. And I'm screaming at them to stop, asking him, "What are you doing? You just hit my car."
Did they finally stop?
Yes.
What happened when they stopped?
When they stopped, I walked up to the van and I said, "What are you doing?"
And what did the defendant say to you?
He said, "I'm so sorry." He's got his hands on his head and he's going, "I'm so sorry. I don't know why I just did that. I've got money in my pocket here," and tries to hand my husband $50. "I will fix your car. I will fix it. I will fix it."
Did Miss Lair say anything?
No, she was sitting in the passenger side of the van at the time.
Your Honor, I was outside. I got out, and the reason why we were leaving was because her sister was
left.
drunk,
Absolutely
very drunk,
not.
serving her alcohol. The reason why I went there was because she was so drunk, and she just said that we needed to go out there because it was so fun. We got there. It's a whole bunch of old people. I wasn't really feeling the scene. I didn't want to be there. I didn't know anyone besides her sister and Cam, and she did not ask us to leave.
We left on our own because her sister
Because she left, and
That was the
I
only
did not
person
know.
we knew other than her. That's why we were leaving. And she
Absolutely
came out.
not.
She came out. She was drunk as a skunk, and she got in her truck, and it
No, I
was
did not.
it was slanted a little bit.
You want me to throw your case out?
And I was backing up, like I was asking her to move over just a little bit so I can get out because I was stuck in there. It was real tight. And as I'm backing up, I see her just back up just a little bit. And as I turned, I hit the back of her truck. And then
And she isn't
I wasn't backing up, keep going. As soon as I hit it, I got out, and I got rushed by a mob of drunk people.
That we did not know. We are the only 18-year-olds,
And
including
I'm
his
standing
sister.
there, I'm standing there talking, trying to make the situation calm. So, like, because my brother just passed away a week ago, and I was having a very hard
This has
time.
nothing to do with this case.
It doesn't, but I was very emotional at the point. You know what
Can
I'm
I see
saying?
pictures of your truck?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the assault, Rob?
I,
And these are the pictures that I have of Taylor's van at the scene the next day because they were too intoxicated.
She was, Your Honor.
Just a minute, I'm looking at something. Why didn't you call the police?
Because they had
Exactly.
asked me not to.
no.
There was too many underage drinkers at the
There
party.
was, no,
Just
Your
a
Honor,
second.
that's
Just
not
a second.
true.
Out. Out.
Don't ever hit my
Out.
head again.
I'm asking her a question.
Okay.
Don't speak until I come back to you.
Okay, ma'am.
Why didn't you call the police?
Because they had asked me not to. Because their son had just passed away. They knew that Robbie would go to jail because he was under the influence of drugs. And they begged me, his mother, his father, and him, and Taylor, begged me to not call the law.
Well, tell me about his father. How did his father get involved?
When the initial accident had happened, I had said, I need to call the cops because I need to get my truck taken care of. It's a brand new truck. It was 6 weeks old. And I said, give me your parents' phone number. So I called his parents. I then talked to Carrie, and I said, Carrie, this is Misty Carpenter. I would like you to know that your son has just hit my car. I need you to please get out here. They're asking me to not call the cops. She said, please don't, please don't. We just lost our son. I cannot believe Robbie just did this. I can't drive because I don't have a driver's license. Here, talk to Robbie's dad, Matt. So Robbie's dad then gets on the phone. I once again introduced myself. This is Misty Carpenter. Your son just hit my car. What would you like me to do about it? I need to call the law. Well, please don't call the law. Please don't call the law. We just had our son pass away. I cannot believe Robbie is doing this all over again. I am so sorry. I promise you, we will meet up with you. We will help you take care of it.
Got it. Now, did you ever take anything other than prescription drugs?
No.
Answer my question.
No, ma'am.
How old are you?
19.
Would you consent to go for a hair follicle drug test now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you know what that will demonstrate? If in the last 6 months you ingested any kind of illicit drugs, it's going to come up in your hair. You understand that?
Yes.
And I want you to be clear about that.
I do understand that, ma'am, and I just want to tell you that after this happened, Robbie was walking away to call his mom, and Cam thought that he was calling the cops, and she punched him in his face.
I'm asking you a question.
No.
I'm asking you a question
You didn't brag about punching me at all?
Absolutely not.
Listen to me.
No, you didn't. No.
Just a second.
Thought you were so cool because she punched me.
I want you to be quiet. Control yourself. I asked you a question about drug use. You moved on to something else. I assume we're finished with drug use. Is that right?
What would you like to know?
I asked you a question. Do you want to revise any answer that you gave me?
I forgot the question that you asked me.
That's what I thought. Give me the estimate for the truck, please.
I certainly can.
Do you have any collision insurance on the truck?
Yes, it was PLPD.
So, what is your deductible?
$500?
Okay. Did you report it to your insurance company?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because later on May 4th, Robbie's mother had met up with us at Walmart to take pictures of the truck to then turn into Taylor's insurance company.
Just a second. From March
Never did
24th,
that.
what happened in the month of April?
I had been calling, I had been texting back and forth between Carrie, asking her to meet up with me, to come over, and nothing. So then I finally had contacted Taylor's father also, trying to track these guys down because I hadn't heard nothing from
Well,
anybody.
why hadn't you put it into your insurance company? I'm just trying to understand.
Because I didn't want my insurance rates to go up. I didn't do it. I wasn't in the car. It wasn't my accident.
Can I say something?
Yes, now you can say something.
The reason she didn't call the cops is because there was underage drinkers there.
Nope.
There was people.
I don't
with
want you
noise.
to answer him.
You said that I
There
was
was people-
intoxicated. You were the one that
Let me
gave me
explain
a
something
drink.
to you,
Look,
madam.
there was-
Let me explain something to you, madam. I have a problem with the way you're reacting in court today. I want you to clearly understand that. I have a really good nose. Do you understand? Now you can sit down.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Misty Carpenter claims 19-year-old Robert Dutney backed into her truck during a party.
Who are you?
I'm Robbie's mom, Carrie.
Can I finish what I was saying, please?
Are you going to tell me that the reason they didn't call the police is because there were underage drinkers there? Is that what you're going to tell me?
No.
Go ahead.
When I was going to call my mom, I heard, "Who's calling the cops?" I look up, Cam's run down there and starts punching me.
Let me explain something to you. Call the police. File a complaint.
They wouldn't let me call the police.
Listen to me. You see, you have your mother, your father here. March 24th, March 25th, you can do whatever you like, sir. Right now, you have to pay her $3,200 for hitting her truck. And that's what you're going to do. Because I'm telling you something, I absolutely want you to watch my mouth. I absolutely believe that you and your girlfriend were high on drugs that evening.
That's good to know.
Absolutely believe it. And
Good.
I absolutely believe that you damaged her truck.
Yeah,
I absolutely believe that you pulled out and damaged her truck. And anything else that you have to say, as far as I'm concerned, is totally irrelevant.
All
That
right.
you were assaulted, have no counterclaim, have no
All right.
police report, have no
All right.
arrest
They
with
have no
regard to an
police
assault.
All right.
Madam, I suggest that you're 19 years old, that you get your act together. And I suggest you watch out for this son.
You don't know my
Do you
life.
understand?
You don't know
Do you,
my life.
do you understand? Hey,
Yes, ma'am.
don't speak. I've been in this business a long time.
Good for
Do you understand what
Yes,
I'm talking
ma'am.
about? Maybe his father doesn't understand, but I'm looking at your eyes and you're looking at mine, and we understand. $3,200 judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Quit serving underage drinkers. Because your house is going to be watched, Misty and Cam.
He threatened me,
He knows I didn't punch him,
I got assaulted.
but he has to come up with some reason to not pay me my money.
Just stupid.
I really hope that they leave me alone and hope they understand.
My kid's allowed to hit girls now.
Do not get behind the wheel of a vehicle
If I see you, Cam, I'm punching you in the face.
while you are under the influence of anything.
Sir,
Mr. Kraus, what do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a sports agent, sports management company.
And what's the name of the company?
Kraus Sports Management.
Where is it located?
Oakland, California.
Give me the address.
Manchester Road, San Leandro, California.
And is there any suite number?
Oh, I'm sorry, 324.
And that is leased in the name of Kraus Sports Management.
Yes.
How long have you had the lease there, sir?
4 years.
And where do you live?
I live in San Mateo, California.
How many employees do you have?
One, just me.
When was the last time that Kraus Sports Management filed tax returns?
2010.
And how much did you earn in 2010?
It was $26,000.
What happened in 2011?
2011, I chose to go into another profession. I'm a sports agent, and I also played in the National Football League. So I was taking my time to go back into scouting in the National Football League.
Did you maintain the office in 2011?
Yes, I did.
How did you pay for it?
Well, it's actually a residence. It's
Listen,
actually a residence. That's
you know,
what it is.
You know, Mr. Kraus.
But that's the address that I use for my business.
Ms. Kraus, I'm 10 steps ahead of you.
Okay.
So let's you and I understand that. On $26,000 a year that you earned in 2010, you didn't support yourself for the last 2.5 years and pay rent on an office. So who lives there?
Me and my sister, actually, at that time. But now I moved to San Mateo. That's where I moved to.
Where's your office now?
My office is in San Leandro. That's where I go to conduct my business.
That's your residence.
I can have a business inside my home, can I? Inside the home, can
Mr.
I?
Kraus, I'm just trying to figure out who you are, sir.
Then I'm telling.
And I'm going to get there my way. Because
Okay.
this is what this case is about. Miss Santos, you played softball.
Yes.
All through college.
Yes, since
You
I was 8.
graduated from college.
Yes.
Friend of yours said, I know somebody who's a sports agent. Mr. Kraus met you in a mall, according to you.
Mm-hmm.
You made some sort of a bizarre arrangement with him where you were going to give him some money, and in exchange for that, he was going to do something for you. I'm going to let Mr. Kraus, now that he can sort of figure out that I'm not as dumb as I look, he's going to tell me what that was later.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, according to you, he did nothing for you. You want your money back.
Yes, ma'am.
How much money did you give him?
I gave him $1,300.
When did you give him $1,300?
I gave him 2 payments. The first payment was in September, and that first payment...
September of what?
2011. The first payment was $500.
And when was the next payment?
It was in November 2011.
How much was that?
$800.
And between September and November, did Mr. Krause do anything for you?
Not a single thing.
I would like you to tell me about when you met him. Give me the date that you met him.
I met him in July
of
2011.
How did you meet him?
I met him through a personal friend of mine, one of my best friends. He's her uncle.
I gather that when you graduated from college, what you were looking for was to become involved in professional sports?
He approached me.
And tell me about that.
He approached me after a game, and he told me that, I was a really good ball player. He told me that he can further my career for me to become a professional softball player, and that we can make anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000 in about a 5-month range. So I was under the impression I was going to make about $5,000 a month from playing professional softball.
And what was he going to do for you?
The terms were that he was going to prep me, which meant...
Did you have a written contract?
No, at our first meeting, he told me that he was going to email me the contract, that I was to print it out, sign it, and return it back to him. He never emailed me the contract after I pursued it several times. Verbally, I asked him for the contract.
Was there ever a written contract, Mr. Krause?
No, there wasn't.
Fine.
No.
So there was never a written contract.
There
was
a verbal contract.
So now you can tell me your memory of the conversation, and I'll determine whether there was contract.
Okay. So at this first initial meeting in the mall in San Leandro, when he explained to me the terms of the agreement, he told me that he would provide athletic training for me, which would include a membership at 24-Hour Fitness that I didn't have to pay for, that it came out of the money that I would give him. He also promised me the contract. He promised me that I would be signed by a professional sports team.
Well, he can't
professional
promise you
softball
that.
team.
He can't promise you
that he was going to do what he could.
He's going to act as your agent. And how was he supposed to get paid?
The money that I was going to give him, $1,800. That $1,800 was supposed to go directly to me to pay for my flights, to, the training camps, to meet the scouts and everything. It would pay for the
expenses.
Yes, exactly.
The expenses, the money that you was going to give him was to provide you with seed money for your expenses.
Exactly. And that he would get his money when I get signed. Because you get a signing bonus. Yeah.
That's what an agent does. What happened in November of 2011?
And so then after November, he kept pestering me for money in December of 2011, and I didn't have money to give him.
Did you have a gym membership?
No, I never received it.
Just a second. Did you sign her up for a gym? The answer is yes or no.
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you make any trips to go and see sports clubs for interviews?
No.
Other than giving him 2 payments, which cumulatively were $1,300, what, if anything, did she do to further her career?
She did absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
What did you do to further her career?
What I did, I contacted several sports teams on her behalf. I talked to people.
Were you successful?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
No, that can't be a yes or no.
Yeah.
Did she go to those interviews?
No, she did not.
Great. So that you did not earn any money as an agent.
No.
Because agents get their money when someone earns money. That's how an agent gets money.
That's right.
Right? Well, an agent is supposed to get you the work so that they can get money.
Right, but there's more to this story than...
Okay, well, let me tell you this, Mr. Krause.
You're leading up to. There's more to it.
Mr. Krause, I am actually going to let you hang yourself all on your own. Because now I got the picture. She gave you $1,300 that was supposed to cover her expenses. For whatever reason, she was lazy, she was a bad person, she didn't cooperate, she got pregnant. Whatever the reason, she did not play professional sport, anything that you did for her, or otherwise probably, and didn't earn any money. And she wants her $1,300 back. Ta-da!
You summed it up right there. So
Perfect.
I have nothing else to say about it.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300.
Parties are excused.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McGill versus Sabrowski. Step forward.
Susan McGill is suing her ex-boyfriend, Richard Sabrowski, for loans to buy a computer and concert tickets, and for hotel charges.
Ms. McGill, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship that, according to what I read, started sometime last summer.
We actually met December 15th of 2010, and we hit it off really quickly, and I believe I fell in love with him right away, and we decided to move in together to save financial costs in February.
February of 2011, and you lived as a couple?
Yes.
Did you have a joint bank account?
No.
You had yours and he had his?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you claim to have loaned him money during this time. The defendant says that there were never any loans. You were living together as a couple. You paid for things, he paid for things, and there was never any discussion of paying back money that was laid out by one or the other. That's his statement. So you want to tell me what you believe he owes you and for what?
Well, actually, it started with a computer in the beginning, around January. He asked me to purchase him a computer because he needed it for school, and he was getting his financial aid in a couple of weeks. And he said verbally that he would pay me full back in a couple of weeks when he got his financial aid if I purchased him a computer.
Did he ever pay you anything back for the computer?
He paid me about $400.
That ever happen?
Something like that.
Go.
There was more money given. I did square up with her on the computer issue. I used my tax money to make sure that it got paid off.
How did you do that?
I believe I gave her cash.
You mean in 2011?
Yeah, it was 2011 after we had moved in together.
How much was the computer altogether?
$900.
What other money did you allegedly loan to him, Ms. McGill?
Well, the next thing started with a $1,000 credit card that I got. The conversation came after that. Let's go see a concert. And I gave him my credit card that day. And when I came home from work, I thought the tickets would be $50 to $70 a piece. And when I got home, he said it was $250. And I was like, why? And he's like, I wanted second row seats.
So?
And then he said he would pay me back with his next check.
Is that right?
We ended up selling the tickets, and I gave the money to her.
Remember how much you got for them? Do you remember how much you got for them?
I thought it was $174 or $175.
Forget it. We're getting petty here, and I have other things to do, and I have other important cases to deal with. Without the benefit of marriage, that's your prerogative. But you don't expect to come in and have a judge spend time going through your bills for the last year and a half and figure out who paid for the hotel and who paid for the in-room dining. That's ridiculous. So if the only thing we have to deal with is the computer cost $900. According to you, he paid you back $400 because he appears to acknowledge the fact that the computer was in fact a loan. Other than the $400 that you gave her, can you prove that you gave her any other money towards this computer?
No, ma'am.
Fine, then he owes you $500 for the computer. Anything else? Great, thank you. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Excuse me, step out.
I think she's scorned from being not allowed to stay with me.
I thought I was in love with him, or I was in love with him.
Be more careful about the people that I choose to have company with.
Just be smarter and not hand my credit card out to anyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Come and have a seat, please.
Miss Hutchinson, is this your former boyfriend?
Yes.
And, sir, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you?
20.
What do you do?
I work at a pet store.
Who do you live with?
My mom.
Okay. You and Mr. Martin were together on and off for several years, according to you. One evening, you were together. It was late. You were both sleeping. What night was that?
November the 26th, 2011.
In November of 2011, Miss Martin, with whom were you living?
My father.
When did you go live with your father?
I've moved back and forth like my whole life, so I would say 7th grade I moved back in with him.
So it's in the middle of the night?
Approximately at 2 o'clock or so in the morning.
2 a.m.?
Yes.
Your claim is that Miss Martin is responsible for damage that was done to your car?
Yes.
On the night of the 26th of November?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me about that evening?
Well, me and like several friends were at another friend's house.
How many friends?
About 7.
Go ahead.
We walked to my house because nobody wanted to drive. We had been drinking. And so when we got...
So you were 18 and you were drinking?
Yeah.
What's the drinking age where you live?
21.
And in whose house were you drinking?
My friend's.
Friend who?
Ryan.
And who does Brian live with?
I don't know who he lives with.
Well, who was he living with in November?
I'm thinking his mom. I have no idea.
Well, you were at their house.
Yeah, I don't know who lived there.
How long? Hey, how long were you there?
A few hours.
Was it a house that looked like a reasonable family lived there?
Yeah.
What night of the week was it?
I don't remember.
Do you remember?
I think it was a Friday night.
You didn't see any adults there?
No.
So his parents were away for the weekend and he had a drinking party at his house?
Probably.
Probably. Having had a lot of children and grandchildren, I could sort of piece that together just from a few things. So parents go out, you open up the liquor cabinet, bring your own booze, and invite all your underage drinking friends. Why didn't you stay at Ryan's house? Is not an answer.
I don't know. We just wanted to leave, so we went. We just didn't want to be there anymore.
Well, now you're 7 drunks going to your father's house.
Yeah.
Did you know it was the wrong thing for you to do, to be drinking underage?
Yeah.
All your other friends, or some of them underage?
Most of them.
Most of them. So they all knew not the right thing to do to be drinking.
Yeah.
And this desire to sojourn to your father's house for no apparent reason was done after a night of drinking.
Yes.
Tell me what happened, if you remember, when you got there.
I knocked on my dad's door and asked him.
What do you mean you knocked at his door? You mean his bedroom door?
Yeah.
Yes, would be the
Yes.
answer. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, let me step back a little bit. You used your key to get into the house?
No, the door was unlocked.
Your father leaves the door unlocked for you?
Yeah, I didn't have a key.
Is that because he didn't give you a key?
No, I had lost it.
So then you left the door unlocked?
Yes, ma'am.
Because she had lost her key. Locksmith. Now, when you opened the door, where were your drunk friends? Inside or
No,
outside?
they stayed outside.
Now, had any of these friends been to your house before?
Yes.
How many of them?
Maybe 3 of them.
3 of the 7. But the other 4 had never been to your house.
No.
So unless they were following breadcrumbs from somebody, they wouldn't have known how to get there unless they went with you. Right?
Yes.
So you go in, you knock at your father's door because you have a total lack of judgment at this point that it's 2 o'clock in the morning and maybe they're sleeping. And what happened?
I asked if all my friends could spend the night, and he said no. So we got into like kind of an argument.
You got into an argument at the bedroom door? Why did you get into an argument with him?
Because I didn't want my friends to walk home or drive home drunk.
They didn't drive there. They walked there from Ryan's house.
Yeah, but if we wouldn't have went to my house, they would have probably drove.
Why did they just walk back to Ryan's house?
I don't know.
You know why you don't know? Because you were drunk. And had no judgment.
Yeah.
That's why, they say it's supposed to be 21 to drink. Even 21-year-olds, when they drink too much, have no judgment. But certainly 18-year-olds, when they drink, have 0 judgment. Now, what happened was you left.
Yes, half of us left.
Which half?
I don't remember who went and who stayed.
Stayed where?
At my dad's. They were waiting outside because we couldn't fit all 7 people into one car.
What car?
My friend came to pick us up.
Friend who?
My friend Ashley.
Was she hanging out with you earlier in the evening?
No.
So you called Ashley at 2 o'clock in the morning to come and get you?
Yeah, I had nowhere else to go.
You could have stayed home.
No, he told me that none of my friends could stay. I wasn't just going to look away.
No. He didn't say you couldn't stay home. He said your friends can't stay home.
He escorted me out of the house, so I figured I couldn't stay.
He didn't tell you couldn't stay home.
Yes, he did.
Mr. Martin, remember that evening?
Yes, ma'am.
She may be 100% right. Did you tell her she couldn't stay home or that the friends couldn't stay home?
All of them.
All of them, including her?
Yes.
Could you tell she was drunk?
Yes.
Bad judgment, Mr. Martin. I would have said, you stay home. Your friends aren't going to stay home. I wouldn't have let my 18-year-old daughter leave the house that night drunk. Not good judgment. Okay. Your car was outside.
Yes.
Tell me what you saw and heard.
I didn't see much or anything, but I heard a big bang, like metal on metal, and just a big sound.
Once or more than once?
A few different times, more than once.
And
Alex went outside to check it out, and he found out it was my car.
You have pictures of the car?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How much after Miss Martin left did you hear this bang?
2 minutes, maybe not even that.
All right, Mr. Martin, you can sit down. Now, you say you didn't do any of this damage.
No.
And you don't know which of your friends did any of this damage.
None of them did.
None of them did? Really? Stand up, Mr. Martin. You are no longer a couple, is that right?
Right.
Did you see Miss Hutchinson's car before your daughter came home drunk that night? Let me put it to you this way. What time did she get to your house that day?
It was late, maybe 10 or so, I believe. I'm not quite sure, but I didn't even know she was coming over, so.
Great. So it was about 10 in the evening.
Yes.
And when she got there, this is her car, this red car.
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't say anything to you. My windshield is broken. My glass is shattered. my car is dented. Didn't say anything like that. She just came to sort of be with you for the evening, right?
Right, unexpectedly, yeah.
After your daughter and her friends left, did you have occasion to go outside and look at her car?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it that night in the condition that these photographs indicate that it was?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I assume, Mr. Martin, that it's not easy for you to stand up here, which is why I'm presenting the questions to you the way I am. Because you're not going to tell me that it was your daughter and or her friends who kicked in the car, because that would be alienating your daughter, and you're not even a couple anymore.
Right.
Now you can sit down. When you arrived at Mr. Martin's house on the 25th, was your car okay?
Yes.
Now, the whole idea, Miss Martin, is are you or are you not responsible for the damage to the car?
Not responsible.
The answer is, I'm going to give you the answer.
Okay.
You picked the wrong door, because the answer is you are responsible. Because but for your actions that evening, for your actions, her car wouldn't have been damaged. You can either not drink when you're 18 years old. You could have stayed at Ryan's house. You could have gone to your own house by yourself and said, I'm just going to sleep it off in the house. The door is unlocked. I'm going to go into my room. I don't feel well. You did none of those things. You brought a horde of 7 morons to your father's house, and one or more of them messed up her car.
No, they didn't.
Let me explain something to you. Yes, they did. Miss Martin, there was a line in a movie that was great. It actually was a line that Kathy Bates said to a couple of girls who cut her off and went into a parking space, and she said, you may be younger and prettier than I am, but I'm older and I got more insurance. So I sort of say the same thing to you. You may be younger, you may be prettier, but I get the last word. So yes, you are responsible. In the eyes of the law, you are responsible.
Well, he was with me
Because
that
what-
night, and nothing
Get
happened.
the money from him. If you think that he was responsible, get the money from him. But for your actions in bringing these drunks to your father's house, her car would have been in the same condition that it was the night that she drove it there the next morning. But for your actions. That's what this is. Now, can we put you in jail for that? No, but this is a civil proceeding. And but for the fact that you brought these drunks into a situation, she wouldn't have any trouble. So you are responsible. You don't have to pick up a rock and throw it through a windshield. You don't even have to kick the car to be responsible. You are responsible. Now, I'd like to see the estimate of the damage. Did you have the car fixed, by the way?
Yes.
So I don't need an estimate. I just need a paid bill.
Well, I have...
No, I don't need an estimate. I just need a paid bill. Great. So what did you pay?
I paid that amount and plus
What's that amount?
the $345 plus my $500 deductible.
Okay. So
Because-
you paid $345
Yes.
and you paid a deductible.
Yes. Because my car was totaled out.
Then what'd you pay the deductible for?
Because I bought my car back from my insurance company so I could keep my car.
I got it.
But it still has dents. It's just
Well,
has some body work
that's
that
okay.
I didn't have to pay for
That's
the whole
okay.
thing.
But that's what it cost you, $845. Am I correct? That's
What is our excuse? You may step out. That day I told her I just didn't want it, a bunch of friends over.
We called our friend to come pick us up, and of course 7 people couldn't fit in the car, so we had to make 2 trips, and we left, and when we came back, the police were there.
Somebody was arrested, a juvenile, but the charges were dropped.
Yeah, that was when half the people stayed. We couldn't take 7 people in the car, so half of them stayed, and one of them got arrested and blamed for it. He didn't even do it, though. Obviously, his charges were dismissed.
She was just upset with her dad and she took it out on me. I don't know why.
Exactly. I don't have anything against her. If I was going to mess up somebody's car over that night, it would have been my dad.
claim that you loaned him money to have certain repairs done on his car. Then the two of you got into an altercation and he assaulted you. You want to be compensated for both the assault and the car repairs.
Yes.
Your son says that you gave him the money to have his car fixed, that you actually put your hands on him first. He reacted, and that's how you were injured. Were you also injured in that interaction, sir? Okay. What happened to your car?
Early June, my car broke down and I needed money to repair it. At that point, I had already put, within the past year, at least $1,000 into the car. I was kind of over the car, done with it. I bought it about 2.5 years before for $4,500. I felt that with the depreciation value and the $1,000 I had already put into it, more money just wasn't feasible. During a conversation with my father, he was asking, kind of how school was going.
You were a full-time student?
Yes.
Go ahead.
He asked how things were going, and I told him, I was kind of stressing out. I needed to come up with a deposit for a new place to live in a couple months, and my car had just broken down. He asked what was wrong with the car. I said, really, I don't know. I'm just tired of it. I just put $400 into it in May of 2012. He said, well, you need your car for school. You need your car for work. Let's get it looked at. And I said, honestly, I'm over this car. I don't want to. I've got other things to worry about. Finals were coming up. He insisted. So about mid-June, we went to an auto body shop right next to the apartment complex where I live. After that, we got a phone call from the mechanic saying that it was going to be $775 for the timing belt and the water pump. At that point, I called my father and I said, $775. I've already put so much money into it. I'm done with this. He said, no, you can't afford a car payment. You need your car to go to work. I was actually supposed to start a new job on July 9th.
How were you getting to school and work without your car?
Friends, and I live 2 blocks down the street from the school, and then I would take public transit to work about an hour and a half.
Okay. So you called him and you said they want $775 to fix the car.
And I said I would rather give them their $100 to look at the car, take it to a car lot and see what we can get, use it as a down payment. Well, it wasn't running, so I wasn't going to get much. I said at this point I'd rather put it in storage and worry about it after my apartment situation gets handled. And then moving forward, we took it to the mechanic and all that stuff. He wanted to be let in the loop, so to speak, of what was going on with the car. He's more technical with cars. I'm not. So at that point, I gave his phone number to the mechanic, and I almost became like a liaison. I would get calls from the mechanic saying, so hey, Terry, Dad approved valve work to be done, and that my father had already agreed to pay for it. He's paying for it. He wants to approve it. Go for it. At that point, I kept getting phone calls. Hey, you need this, you need that, you need that. Work totaled about $3,200 on the car, $3,100.
Well, that's sort of ridiculous. You paid $4,000 for it, and they want $3,000 to repair it. That sounds pretty stupid. And he had already put in $1,000 in the car. It seemed to me the more prudent thing to do was to put down $3,000 down payment on another car that was probably more reliable, even a new little car, a smart car or something. You would say that that would have been the more prudent thing to do rather than to spend thousands of dollars on an old car.
Yes.
Okay, so now the car's ready to be picked up. Well, you want to tell me what happened, Mr. Young?
From that point, I walked into the mechanic shop, Carlsbad Auto. Terrence was in the parking lot on the phone. I proceeded to make a payment of $992.28, and then I also had a cashier's check made out for the difference in the amount of. Would you like to see?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Mr. Young, who was it at this auto body place that you communicated with?
I communicated with I assume was the owner, operator.
What's his
Greg.
name?
I didn't catch his last name, but his name is Greg.
And over what period of time was it that this car was being fixed? A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I would say 4 weeks minimum, 5 weeks total.
And during that 4 to 5 week period of time, how often did you speak to Greg?
I spoke to Greg probably 5 times.
Why?
Greg basically was told that I was financing the repairs on the car, but he had to talk with Terrence and explain what needed to be done with the car and tell him exactly what the repairs were.
Okay, so you paid for it, and?
And at that point, Terrence had no interest in what was wrong with the car, what still needed to be done with the car. And I gave Terrence a check, and Terrence looked at the memo, it said car repair loan. And the problem that came out of it was Terrence agreed that as long as he showed me commitment on this new job he was going to, I would make the car repair. But when they found out that Terrence didn't report to this new job, it became what it was that's noted on the check as a loan. And I told Terrence, you showed me commitment 6 months on the job, I will pay this car repair. He did not report to work. He did not tell me he did not go to work until after the first week he's supposed to have started. And now it's just a debt.
Who supports him?
I really don't know who supports him because
how old is he?
He's 22.
Does he go to school?
He goes to school.
Just a minute. So he goes to school, and he's very tall, and he's got to eat 3 meals a day, and he's got to live someplace. He doesn't live with you. I assume that you don't provide him with a food card so that he can go and eat, so somebody has to support him. Question is, who supports him? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
Well, you're his father. You should know. Who supports you?
Me, myself, and I.
Okay. And you support yourself from what?
Right now I have 2 jobs. I work at JCPenney as an associate, and then I also work in a sub shop called Vita Boston.
And what school do you go to?
Miracosta Community College.
How long have you been going there?
Miracosta, I've been there about 2 years. I've been in college since 2008, though. I've jumped around various schools.
How many credits do you have towards graduation?
60.
60. So
Yes.
you have enough for an
I'm technically-
associate's degree.
Yeah.
Okay. So far, I'm a little unsympathetic with you, Mr. Young, with regard to this gift of car repairs that turned into a loan. Let's get to the assault, sir.
The assault, it came to where I said, Terrence, what is the problem? He said, I never agreed to this. I said, Terrence, you did agree to it because when you told me back in June that you needed transportation to get from Sorrento Valley, where the new job is in Oceanside, you need transportation. He never told me that he had bought a car for so much money. He just said he needed money to repair the car. I was under the impression that he needed assistance for his career. And I said, Terrence, I will fix your car as long as you commit to the job. And we rehashed that, and then he got so mad. Basically, I felt threatened in the rental car I was driving. And I said, son, this is your last day you're going to disrespect me. And he said, I'll show you how much disrespect I have when we get out the car. We arrived at his apartment. I told him to get out of the car. He never did. So I got out the car, walked around the back of the car.
You told him to get out?
I told him to get out the rental car. I was done with him because at that point I'd already told him.
Okay. So you were driving back in the rental car?
Yes.
Your rental car?
My rental car.
Why were you driving a rental car?
My car at the time was currently in the shop in El Cajon City.
Okay. So you got out of the car?
I got out of the car to walk around to let him out the door because he wasn't making a move. And basically when I went around the back rear of the car, he jumped out, took a swing at me, and I just reacted.
Just a second. He took a swing at you, and I assume from the way you're saying that to me, he took a swing at you and missed.
Yes, he missed.
And what did you do?
In reaction, I swung back. This is not.
And when you swung back, what happened?
He hit the ground.
You hit him.
I sure did.
And he went down.
Yes.
And then what happened?
He got up, swung again, and it repeated 2 to 3 times.
Just a second. Okay. He got up and he swung again. And did he connect?
I think so. In my glasses.
Well, don't tell me what you think. Did he connect?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Where did he connect?
In the face.
And this was after you had hit him and he was on the ground.
Yes.
And then what happened?
He got up and swung again.
And what happened then?
We had changed swings, and next thing I know, he was grabbing me, trying to throw me on the ground, and that's when my left leg popped and my knee had snapped. I found it was a tibia that broke, and I have pictures of the...
I'm not looking at your pictures here. What kind of injuries did your son have, Mr. Taylor?
I don't know, other than...
Well, why don't you tell me?
All right. Do you want pictures?
Not yet. Why don't you tell me?
So initially what had happened, he actually was in the car trying to undo my seatbelt when he was doing his, got out, circled around the trunk side of the car. I got out and started moving more towards the hood of the car. He actually swung at me first, and since it's not our first altercation, I've actually fought my father when I was 9, 11, and 13. At that point, I already knew it was coming. I swung at him back. We hit each other, stopped. He swore at me and said, "Did you hit me?" Derogatory name. And I said, "Yeah, you hit me." So at that point, we started hitting each other. He tried to high jump kick me. I caught his leg. That's actually probably how he broke his leg. He's had multiple knee surgeries, back surgeries.
I asked you what your injuries were.
I had a scrape on my right cheek from when he tried to gouge my eyes out. I had about a 2-inch gash right below my chin. I also had multiple abrasions on this side when he was trying to choke me. He actually put a pretty large dent on the side of my head, and he actually broke my nose on the left side of my face.
Were you treated for any of those injuries?
No, I don't have insurance.
So you didn't go to the hospital?
No.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment and says his son, Terrence Young, owes for a loan to fix his car and for assaulting him.
Now I will see whatever photographs you want to show me, sir, and I will see the photographs you want to show me.
There you go, Chief.
Mr. Young, do you have any other children?
I have a 17-year-old who lives with his mother in Fallbrook, California.
How long has that 17-year-old lived with his mother rather than you?
2006, he's been with his mother solely.
So I am correct that you have 2 children. Neither one of them spent an appreciable time living with you as a parent.
That's not correct. I raised the youngest one up to the age of 10, and his mother struck me with a vehicle, and that's why we've been separated since. I've actively...
Well, from age 10 to 17, he hasn't lived with you.
Yes, that is true. So I have raised him his first 10 years.
And what about this young man?
This young man, his mother raised him. It was a court order that she had custody of him. And as I was a defense contractor, I traveled quite a bit. And Terrence has always faulted me for not being there. I didn't reach Terrence until he was 18 when he had moved out, and I found out that his mother said he had moved away. I had to track him down from a place of employment, KFC, and his friends got word to him, letting him know that I was looking for him. So Terrence reached out.
So how long had you not been in touch with him?
I've been in touch with him over the years. I wrote him when I was in Japan.
When
and
was
he
the
was
last
16.
time that you saw him?
I saw him from 18 to 22, on and off.
Prior to the time he was 18?
I had child visitation with him.
I'm asking you, when did you see him? What age was he? 6?
I saw him throughout, from 7 to 18, through parental custody rights. I had like 14%, and I maximized on that.
That's a lie. I met my father and my new stepmom and my little brother when I was 7. Up until then, I thought my stepfather was my father until the day that some man came and said he was my father.
Keep going.
I saw him pretty much every weekend because although they had a court order, I wanted to spend time with my father. My mom didn't hesitate. I saw him pretty much every weekend up until I turned 14. At that point, he dropped me off to register and never came back.
So from 14 to 18, you didn't see him?
I honestly don't remember seeing him at 18. I don't remember seeing him until I was like 20.
Your Honor, that's a fallacy in itself because, one, I was visiting him, I was picking him up, and my youngest son's mother was allowing me to use her vehicle to pick him up until he was 16 of age. And there was a fight between his mother and my youngest son's mother, and I had no vehicle at the time. I was told I had no access to him.
I don't care what the excuses are, Mr. Young.
Right, it's not an excuse. It's the truth.
I think that a father doesn't put his hands on a child, and the child doesn't put his hands on his father. Bottom line is you hit him first. Bottom line is you hit him first. You decked him. You don't get rewarded for that.
Your Honor, can I explain something about he lied about, he attacked me?
No. You just told me,
I agree.
sir,
I agree
that
with
you
that.
hit him first. You told me that.
Out of self-defense, and I have a police report with that too. And they told why aggravated assault.
Just a second.
Okay.
You have him acknowledging that he assaulted you first in a police report? That I'd like to read. That's not what the police report says at all.
Your Honor, the police report also has a discrepancy at the bottom of the page, which I'm still trying to figure out. I never was arrested in 91, never was arrested in 94.
I don't care whether you were arrested in 91, sir. I'm reading the police report that you gave me. The police report that you gave me says that you hit him first. This is your statement that you hit him first. It says that Terrence exited the vehicle and attempted to strike Anthony. That's you. Terrence missed Anthony, and in order to defend himself, Anthony swung with a closed fist and struck Terrence around the head. That's what you say, that you hit him first.
But, Your Honor, there's a history of him attacking me, and I have witnessed, he was a witness of a first attack he attacked me when he was 16.
I don't care.
And before he hit me,
listen to me. I don't care about that.
Okay.
I'm not interested when he was 16.
But he has a history of attacking me. That's what I'm saying. He has a history, and it's been witnessed by various other people. And I'm afraid of the guy. I'm afraid of the guy, period.
Well, if you're afraid
it's not funny.
If you're afraid of, Mr. Young, if you're afraid of your son, sir, and if you have grounds, then you go to court and you get a protective order.
I'm working on that now.
And stay away from him. And they will tell him to stay away from you. But that has nothing to do with this case. In this case, you are alleging that he assaulted you and that he is responsible for your injuries. Well, there is no question that as a result of this altercation, you broke your leg. That doesn't mean he's legally responsible for it. That's one thing. The second thing that I have serious reservations about, sir, is this money for the car. Because I think that actually you're being pretty arbitrary. The fact that he wasn't going to one job, and you don't know how your son who's 22, and I have 22-year-old kids myself, I had a whole slew of them. Believe me, I knew how they were supported. I knew whether they were working, I knew whether they needed money, whether they didn't need money, whether they had car insurance, where they were living, what they were doing. And if you didn't have that information available to you, you should have. It's not as if you have a dozen kids. So, if he's supporting himself now, and he needed a car to support himself, and it may not have been at the job that you thought he was going to have in June, and you initially, because if I'm reading you right, Mr. Young, what you said was, I'll pay for the car repairs as long as you hold down a job. Well, you weren't supporting him from the time he was 21 years old. So somebody was supporting him, and if it wasn't his mother, it had to be him.
Well, Your Honor, I had just given him about a total of $800 over the last 6 months prior to that.
What?
And he was complaining about his job, and I said, I will support you, and he agreed. We shook on it. We had a gentleman's agreement. We shook on it that he would agree to. It doesn't
Agree to
matter
what?
at this point.
Agree to what? Put your hand down. He's the kid. You're the grown-up.
And I thought I was showing him means of how to be responsible.
He
He's
is
22.
supporting him.
Okay.
Who's supporting him?
Well, I asked him, Your Honor. And I asked him. He was doing various things. I don't care to mention. It's not my business what he does. He was borrowing money.
I don't know what that means.
He had other things he was doing. He was working part-time and other things he said. He was doing some music. I don't know.
Like what?
He said he was making music. I don't know
So he was making
how he's
music.
making music.
So
if
what?
that's supporting him.
So if that's what he was doing, if he was doing DJ work, if he plays an instrument, if he was making money one way or another, he was supporting himself, which
But
is
he
more
was
than
also
most.
asking me for money. Not at all.
I have to tell you something. Eventually, he may have his own family, and he may branch out, and he may have his own little nest. I don't know about you. I don't know if you're going to have any other children. You have two, and since you weren't great fathering for either one because you weren't there all the time, I suggest to you that the chances are that you're not going to have any more. So it would be nice if you had a nice relationship with him. You know, would be nice. Hitting each other and suing him are not the way to get there. Goodbye, Mr. Young.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Because I was absent in his life. The past 3 years, he's 18. I didn't have to listen to his mother control when I could see him, and I figured we could bridge the gap.
That's honestly why I agreed to put my car in the shop in the first place. It's kind of like, he hasn't been there, so if he wants to try to be here now, might as well let him.
And what it turned out to be over the last 3 years is I was just a financial pool.
I haven't talked to my father in years. Why would I ask him for money?
And he has no respect for me.
Honestly, I didn't want to talk to him, so I'm not planning on talking to him.
Him attacking me for the third time in my relationship with him. Enough's enough.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gonzalez versus Doe. Step forward.
Angelica Gonzalez is suing her former friend, Melissa Doe, for breaking an apartment lease.
Ms. Gonzalez, you and the defendant met at some sort of a women's support group, became friends, and decided that you would live together. You have two children, she had one child, and you decided to lease an apartment. I'm just getting through some of the preliminaries from what I see in your complaint and answer, because I think that there are certain things we can agree on. So far, is that correct?
Yes.
And I think the rent was something like $2,600 a month.
Correct.
The agreement was that you would pay $1,700 a month because you were using two rooms.
Correct.
And you would pay $900 a month. You were three people. Your children slept in one room. You slept in one room.
Correct, Your Honor.
And you shared a room with your daughter?
Yes, my son, yes.
With your son. You
Yes.
shared a room with your son.
Yes.
So that sounded like a very even split of the rent.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Angelica Gonzalez says former friend Melissa Doe broke the lease on an apartment they shared. Melissa claims the landlord let them out of the lease.
Okay. How old is your son?
4.5.
And your children?
10 and 12, Your Honor.
When did you sign the lease?
The lease was signed the 15th of May, 2012.
And it was for a year?
Correct.
Okay. At some point, Ms. Doe met a man, and she subsequently became engaged and married that man. I assume that's you.
Yes.
And you married in what month?
I got married in October. I met him in September.
And when you got married, you expected your husband to move into your apartment.
I expected that he could stay with us, yes.
You expected he could stay with you. What does that mean?
I expected that he would move in, yes.
I have some questions. What is your last name?
Rosencrantz.
Stand up, Mr. Rosencrantz. How old are you, sir?
55.
What kind of work do you do?
I do sales and I'm an author.
Who do you work for?
Right now I'm presently unemployed.
Were you employed in October?
My employment ended October 1st, 2012, so the answer is actually no.
How were you supporting yourself?
Well, before I was working and I was supporting myself through the employer that I worked for. And then after that, I was using the money that I had saved up.
Where were you living?
I was living in Pleasanton.
In a house, in an apartment?
I had a room that I was renting in Ruby Hills in Pleasanton, California.
How long had you been renting the room prior to October?
I think it was May.
So you lived there from May until October?
Yes.
And when you and the defendant married, you were unemployed?
I was unemployed, correct.
Okay. Have a seat, sir. Okay, so she moved in with her husband, and I gather that this was not something that made you happy. You have 2 children, girls or boys?
2 girls, Your Honor.
How old are they?
10 and 12.
And you knew nothing about Mr. Rosencrantz?
Absolutely not.
So I assume you weren't happy about the situation?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so in the month of October, the defendant moved out. This case is about the rent that you want from October, when she moved out, until the end of the lease. Because, according to you, you have 2 girls. You're not going to invite another stranger to come and live with you, which is understandable. Had you been living by yourself prior to moving in with the defendant?
No, Your Honor. I was living with my mom. I was just recently divorced, and so me and Melissa wanted to start a new...
So prior to moving in with the defendant, you were living with your parents?
Correct.
And working?
Correct.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a preschool teacher, and I have a real estate license.
Are you still living in that apartment?
I am, Your Honor.
Who's helping you with the rent?
I am managing somehow.
Where were you living prior to moving in with the plaintiff?
With my parents as well.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm a retired teacher on retirement benefits.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Are you on disability?
Yes.
How much do you receive on disability?
Well, I get $2,600 for myself, and then they give me an additional $500 for my son.
Is the disability your son's or yours?
Mine.
And on that, you're supporting yourself, your son, and your husband?
Yeah, and he's getting unemployment benefits.
Where are you living now?
In Pleasanton.
In what kind of facility?
In an apartment.
How much do you pay in rent?
$1,670.
How large is the apartment?
2-bedroom.
So your son has a bedroom?
Yes.
And you and your husband have a bedroom?
Yes.
And in Miss Gonzalez's apartment, when you were there with your husband, where did everybody sleep?
In the same bedroom.
Well, that was not a situation that you were going to have continued with a 5-year-old child, right?
No, we would like to get our own place eventually, yes.
Well, that's what you did. You moved out and you got your own place so that you could each have a bedroom.
Yes.
She obligated herself to a lease based upon the fact that you were going to live together. You were going to assume the responsibility of $900 a month rent. You got married. You could have waited to get married until May, until your lease was up. You chose not to do that. You got married and you moved out. What do you expect her to do?
Well, I was working with I have a proof of an email with the landlord. I emailed the landlord and asked if we can add his name onto the lease, or if we could go ahead and end the lease early. And she gave her permission to go ahead and do so, as long as we agreed, Angel and I.
The landlord agreed without any penalty.
Yes.
I want you to show me a letter where the landlord agreed without any penalty for you or the plaintiff that you could terminate the lease early and she would let you both out of the lease. I would like to take a look at that letter. Because if that is true, then I'm going to dismiss our case. Because if she had the opportunity at that time, this didn't work out. I'm going to go back to my parents. I certainly don't want to live with somebody that I don't know. Not a good situation. And if she chose not to accept that, then I'm going to dismiss her case. Otherwise, I'm going to rule in her favor because you had no basis to move out of her apartment and to break your lease.
Okay.
Okay? So let's see. Now, sounds as if the landlord is being very reasonable, Miss Gonzalez. The landlord says if you both move out, both, and give her 30 days notice, she's not going to give you back your security deposit, but she'll let you out of the lease, which means that you won't be held liable for the lease until the end of May. This landlord sounds lovely. So why didn't you do that?
Your Honor, we had a lease for a year, and we actually almost leased the property for 2 years.
That's not what I'm saying to you. The landlord said to you, you did not like the fact that this man was there. That you clearly said to me. I said, I certainly think that if the defendant stuck you with a lease from October to May that you would be legally responsible for, I would say to her, you can't do that. But this landlord says my offer still stands, although your lease does not allow for it. I offered to let you out of your lease with 30 days notice. You would still owe rent until the 30 days is up, and you cannot use your security for that, but I'm going to let you out of your lease. You chose not to do that.
Your Honor, we had a lease for a year. We were in a certain school district, and I had no...
That would be your problem.
But I absolutely did not agree to her moving out.
I don't care whether you agree with her
nor was I
moving.
ready
Listen
to move
to me.
out.
Well, that's your problem that you weren't ready
Your
for
Honor,
her
we
to
had a
move
lease
out.
for a year. We had a lease
Listen
for a
to
year.
me. I answered your question. You don't like the answer. The circumstances changed. She can't stick you with a lease because she decides to move out. And you even say in your complaint, which I will read to you in case you forgot. Melissa met her now husband in late September 2012. They were engaged within a week. I was shocked. Then she moved him into our home. I was unhappy with the arrangement. I didn't want a stranger living in my home with my 2 young daughters, much less an older man. It wasn't right or safe. That's what you wrote.
Yes, Your
It's
Honor.
not important. You get nothing. The landlord offered you an option.
did.
Move back with your parents. Goodbye.
Parties are excused and they step out.
We had a lease for a year. She was obligated to stay there.
I had hoped that she had found a roommate to pay the amount that I was paying, but she didn't find someone yet.
Our lease was for myself and her. There should have been no other person living in our property.
The fact that she's saying she felt uncomfortable that I was there, I can understand that because she did not know me.
It's completely inappropriate.
It just didn't work out because she didn't feel comfortable with him there, so it was a hostile environment.
She made me feel very uncomfortable.
She was living there with him for quite some time until she decided to just get up and leave.
We're no longer friends.
Obviously, I won't be renting with anybody.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fields versus Charles. Step forward.
23-year-old Waddell Fields is suing his cousin, 18-year-old Travis Charles, for totaling his Mercury Cougar when he fell asleep at the wheel.
I need something for my throat. Mr. Fields, it's not going to work.
Travis, this is going to be fun. $4,200 for totaling my 2000 Mercury Cougar. I should have got wasted before I came here. Did you watch the show, Travis? No? You never watched it before? Oh my God. Gotta do your research, baby.
You ready to continue?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Fields,
Yes, ma'am.
you're an idiot. And I'm going to explain why you're an idiot, sir. I'm going to explain why you're an idiot so that your family will know you're an idiot, your friends will know you're an idiot, everybody here will know you're an idiot, 10 million people in the United States will know you're an idiot, and probably 100 million people throughout the world will know why. What's your first name?
Waddell.
Why Waddell Fields is an idiot.
All right.
Now, we came out here and Officer Byrd called the case, but as you can hear, I have a bit of a cold today.
Sorry to hear about that.
So what I did was I went in the back in my room where I have some cough suppressant that I would hope would allow me to continue with this case. You, on the other hand, thought you were all alone someplace on Mars when you were talking. Now I have a television set in my room. And you know what was playing? Waddell.
Okay.
Waddell being an idiot. Now you know why you're an idiot, Waddell?
No.
Well, let's start with this. You're here suing for $4,000 for what you say was a $2,000 car.
No.
That's what you said.
$4,200.
That's what you said. And then you had the stupidity to say to your cousin, this is your cousin, right? Man, you never watched her? That's stupid. Should have watched her. Should have done your research like I did.
What's wrong with doing your research?
Nothing, sir. But if you think that I would not be suspect for a lawsuit where somebody is carrying on like you were carrying on back there for 5 minutes, instead of being what most people would perceive to be a usual litigant in a case, not joking around, not playing with his friend, not smiling around, not conversing with the opposition, then you didn't do your research good enough, Waddell. Should have come in and played it straight. You would have done much better. Do you understand?
I understand.
You played it like a wise guy. And I don't like when people play like wise guys in my court because this is my playpen. Now we understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Now, Mr. Charles, I'm going to go right to you because I actually don't feel like talking to Waddell anymore. You and your cousin were out for an evening.
Yes.
You were at his house.
Yes, ma'am.
It was late. You wanted to go home. Waddell said he didn't want to drive you home. Why didn't he want to drive you home?
He was drinking that night.
So he didn't want to drive because he said, and that's a good thing. I don't think any better of him, but I think that that was at least a smart thing for him to say, I'm drinking and I'm not going to drive. So you took his car.
No, ma'am.
He gave you his car
Yes.
to drive home.
Yes.
Did you get home?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I fell asleep at the wheel.
Whose fault is that?
It's his fault.
It's his fault that you fell asleep?
Yes. Because in the first place, he was supposed to bring me home.
He was supposed to bring you home, and he didn't bring you home.
Yes.
Now, my question to you is, what day of the week was this, sir?
I don't recall.
Was it a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Was it a weekend?
It was a
Were you
week.
supposed to go to a car show the next day?
We were going to a car show that same day.
Well, you left in the morning.
Oh, yeah,
or
yes.
late, 3 o'clock in the morning. You were supposed to go to a car show.
Mhm.
So it wasn't a work day.
No.
Do you work?
Do I work at the moment? I'm a student.
Did you have school the next day?
Did I have school? No, ma'am.
So there was nothing so pressing. You're not a diabetic or anything, so you need to take insulin that was home.
A diabetic? No, ma'am. But I was feeling really sick that night.
Well, you could be sick home or you could be sick at Waddell's.
Well, see, at Waddell's, he was having a party with some friends. Before the actual car show, we discussed that he was going to bring me home.
I understand that.
Yes.
If what you're saying to me, sir, is your defense is that it's not your fault that you took the car and you weren't feeling well
Okay.
and you fell asleep at the wheel, and therefore it's Waddell's fault because he didn't take you home as he promised he would, that's not a defense.
That is my defense.
It's not a defense.
In my eyes, it is.
Then I suggest, sir, you study real hard in school, then you go to law school. Then you practice law for 35 years. Then someone is smart enough to make you a judge, and then you can make the decision. So if in your mind it's not a defense, we have to change your mind. And the way to change your mind is with information.
Okay.
And information you can only get with schooling.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm telling you, it's not a legal defense.
But I'm
That
telling
he
you that
promised-
is my defense.
And I'm telling you, if that's your only defense, it's not a defense. Bird will tell you it's not a defense. Let's say instead of falling asleep at the wheel, which is, I believe, probably what happened, Waddell was drinking and you were drinking. And Waddell had promised to take you home. And he said, I'm not getting behind the wheel of a car. And you said, well, you promised to take me home. I'm taking the car. And he said, well, take the car. You've had as much to drink as I have. You take the car and you hit a pole, but before you hit the pole, you hit a couple coming back from their wedding with 3 of their relatives in the car, and you kill all of them.
Okay.
Is that Waddell's fault?
I wouldn't have been driving in the first place.
Why not?
I wouldn't have drink and drive.
We're tired.
Yes.
So you fell asleep at the wheel.
Yes, ma'am.
That's your fault. He's going to question it again.
No, he's not.
I want to see the pictures of the car, please. I want to know when you purchased the car and for how much. Waddell.
I purchased the car for $5,000 on February 15th of 2012.
You have a loan on the car?
No, it was paid off.
What kind of a car was it?
It was a 2000 Mercury Cougar.
Would you take a look, Bird, and see what the blue book on that is?
V6 engine,
Correct.
$1,450.
$1,450.
$1,450.
You got overcharged, Waddell.
Sometimes I'm an idiot.
But I'm not.
Okay.
$1,450. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Step out. I just wanted to come on here and have my cousin accept the responsibilities for his actions.
The whole night was a complete, utter mess.
The next morning, I woke up to my alarm clock radio at 7 a.m. The first thing that it said was all lanes on Roswell Road shut down due to fallen power lines in the street. That gave me a bad feeling.
He was drunk that night. That's why he doesn't remember me taking the car.
I was stunned. It took me a few days to get over the fact that my son could have been killed.
been completely torn up. I haven't spoke to him since.
Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Hopkins, you were a tenant of the defendants. You want your security deposit back, plus a lot of other money for a variety of things, including a tanning bed. You want money because you had to relocate because he was renting an unregistered apartment. In total, you want from him $5,000.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. How much security deposit do you have with him?
$1,800.
And so that was your rent, $1,800.
The rent was it came to about $2,200 a month. I was responsible for the gas, the gardener, the pool.
How much was your rent?
The rent was $1,800.
That's what I said.
Okay.
Did you have a lease with him?
Yes, I did. I have the lease here.
I'd like to take a look at the lease. It's a month-to-month lease. And it clearly states that the security deposit is not to be used as payment of the last month's rent.
Correct.
So when did you move in?
I moved in April of 2011.
And when did you move out?
April 1st of 2012.
On what day in April did you move in?
The 26th of April.
Did you pay April's rent?
Yes, I did. I gave him $3,600, the deposit and the first month's rent.
And the lease was to terminate April 25th, 2012.
Yes.
You weren't there in April of 2012. Is that correct?
No, I was not.
When did you move out?
I was moved out on the 30th of March.
Did you pay March's rent?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Why did I not? Because the city of Los Angeles gave him a substandard order and the health department.
Did you live there in March?
Yes.
Then you have to pay rent.
No, I have the paperwork here. Would you like to look at it, Your Honor?
No.
It was an unregistered unit.
Move.
I did move.
Move before March. Pay careful attention to me. When you go into a restaurant and you order a tuna fish sandwich and the waiter or waitress delivers it to you and you don't like the way it tastes and you give it back, you don't have to pay for it. But if you eat it, then you can't say I don't like it and I'm not paying for it. So if you felt that his apartment was substandard and not to your liking, you move. What you don't do is squat and not pay rent. That's what you don't do. People don't seem to get that. One woman said to me, the apartment only had one door and it was a fire hazard. I said, well, when you moved in, did it have two doors and did the landlord steal a door? She said, no, it only had one door when I moved in. I said, but you lived there for 8 months before you complained that it only had one door until your lease was up and you stopped paying rent.
That's not what happened, Your Honor. I complained the entire time from the day that I moved in.
Move out! How old are you? How old are you?
55.
If you don't like where you're living, move.
I agree.
And you agree. But what you don't do is kvetch and moan and not pay rent.
I paid rent every month and I was paying more than the DWP bill.
Just a second.
Okay.
You lived there in March and you didn't pay March. That's $1,800. So the only month you didn't pay was March.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that was the last month that you lived there.
Yes.
Right. And so you lived off your security deposit, which was $1,800, the exact same amount, right, as your rent. And it says right here, not to be used by tenant in lieu of payment of last month's rent. The security deposit is supposed to be to ensure that there's no damage.
Your Honor, he wasn't allowed to collect rent pursuant to the LA County and the state. He wasn't allowed to collect rent on the property. I have the paperwork to show it.
Move!
I did move, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Listen to me.
Okay.
Hey. You ate the tuna fish sandwich, you pay for it. And if you think you're going to get $5,000 in this court for not paying for the tuna sandwich, you're nuts. It's not going to happen.
Will you look at the pictures of the conditions?
No. You live there. You're 55 years old. If you don't like living there, move. You're not a prisoner. You're not a prisoner. You have all these people. Who are you? A friend?
I still live in the property.
Great. Are you a friend of hers?
We became friends.
Careful. Be very careful what you say to me.
We became friends, Your Honor, when I moved into the house.
And you didn't know her before?
No.
Great. And you still live there?
Yes, ma'am.
Terrific. And you're not a prisoner. He doesn't have you shackled to the apartment, right? Who are you?
I'm her son.
You weren't living there, or you were living there?
I was living there, Your Honor.
And how old are you?
I'm 26 years old.
Nobody was shackling you to the apartment either, were they?
Not physically.
Not in any way.
Well,
not in any way.
Humbly
This is
disagree.
America. You don't like it? It's dirty. It's unhealthy. It's unsanitary. You pick yourself up, you at 26 and your mother at 55, and you move. But what you don't do is stay in somebody's property without paying for it. So, when did you start calling the authorities on him?
In February. When the other people moved out next door, there were 5 people living there. When I moved in, he told me there were 2. The DWP bills were like $1,300. He told me they were going to be $200. Okay.
Care all about
okay.
it. Well,
when they moved out, I went into the other side of the unit before Sanaz moved in, and I saw that there were rats in there. It was completely disgusting, and I called the health department. That's when he served me an eviction notice.
What month was this?
This was in February.
In February, the last month you paid rent?
Yes.
What else? Keep going.
Then Building and Safety came out and said that it was substandard. And
Don't tell me what anybody said.
Okay.
I'm not interested.
I have the proof. If
Listen
you'd like to
to
see
me.
it. Okay.
I don't know what you want. I don't know what you're suing for.
What I'm suing for is this man. He showed me a different place. He promised me that he was going to fix it all before I moved in. He never fixed it. The people that live next door.
Don't move in. If you go to the apartment.
I had given him $3,600. I was there to move in.
Just a second. If it's substandard and you didn't like it, don't move in. But you moved in and you lived there not 1 month, not 2 months, not 3 months or 4 months, not 5 months or 6 months or 7 months or 8 months. You lived there almost 11 months.
Because I thought he was going to fix things. He kept telling me he was going to fix things.
I don't know what you want.
I want him to pay me for my tanning bed, which he stole
so
from me.
let's get to your tanning bed.
Okay.
So we're not having any nonsense now about $5,000 because your tanning bed wasn't $5,000. Now tell me about the tanning bed.
I put it out in the front on April 1st. I called them and told them they could come pick it up. And before they could come pick it up,
just a second.
Yes.
On April 1st, you put the tanning bed where?
With all the things to be taken away, I had
What? Just a second.
Okay.
All the things to be taken away by whom?
The Veterans Administration was coming to take things.
Is what you're telling me, Miss Hopkins, that you put the curb?
No, it wasn't on the curb.
Where was it?
By the front of Sanaz's door. Sanaz was a witness to seeing it there.
I don't care if she's a witness to seeing it there. What does it belong there for? It's April 1st. You're not supposed to have any property at his place. You're gone.
Your Honor, he's a slumlord. I have papers from all of these people. The LA Housing Department, the Building and Safety asked me to go after him. Your Honor, I didn't have money to go moving 3 or 4 times in work.
What else do you want from him?
Relocation funds.
It's not happening.
Why is it in the city and the state ordinances?
Not happening.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Hopkins says former landlord Michael Vaknin owes for relocation costs, the return of her security deposit, and stealing her tanning bed.
Miss Hopkins, do you have a job?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I do personal training.
And you do that for individuals, you get paid by the hour?
Yes, I do.
I want you to think of it this way. You train somebody for an hour, and afterwards they don't feel good. They say, you know what? I didn't like that, and I'm not going to pay her because my muscles feel stiff. She was thinking about something else. She wasn't devoting her whole attention to me, and I'm not going to pay her. You can't do that to somebody's business. You're responsible if you live someplace to pay rent. You're a grown woman with a grown child. And if you think that someplace is unhealthy for you and unhealthy for your child, you move. Now, if you came to me in June of 2011 and said, you know, I gave this man a month's rent and a month's security. I want out of my lease because this apartment is not as it was represented. And if I'm satisfied that he is not supposed to rent the apartment, that it's substandard, and if I think that you have a legitimate case, I will say to him, give her back her security deposit. But I'm not saying that to you. You lived there almost a year, and then you started to complain. And what you did was you lived off your last month's rent as security deposit, and now you want your security deposit. And you want your security deposit back because you say the place was substandard. So I not only want to live there free for the month of March, I want him to give me back my security deposit. And something strikes me as being unfair. I don't do unfair things.
He's a lot. The guy, he's such a slumlord. If you would see what he does.
Move.
I was not able to move. It was $3,600. He took my
No, you're not following me. Just as you're coming to court now, if the situation there was untenable for you, then you come to court. But you didn't.
The rats weren't there until after those people moved out. When I saw what was over there, the rats started coming into my side of the house. It was disgusting.
What else do you want? Let's go. You don't get the tanning bed. The tanning bed you threw out. If he took it and threw it someplace else, I don't care. Now, his answer says there was damage to the house.
I have pictures of before and after I moved in, so he can prove it. He's a liar.
That may be.
It's true.
That may be.
Yeah.
He still doesn't have to give you back your security deposit because you lived there for the month of March. Now, what else do you think he owes you for?
Relocation funds.
He's not giving you money to relocate.
Why does the state say that he has to give me relocation funds and you're saying he doesn't?
Listen, let me ask you this question, my dear. Do you want to go back to the small claims court where you filed this case? I'll be more than happy to dismiss your case without prejudice, go back to the small claims court, and see if you find a more sympathetic ear someplace else. Here, I am unsympathetic with people that eat the tuna fish sandwich and don't pay for it.
I would rather, because I have all the proof.
Great. Case is dismissed without prejudice. Goodbye.
All right, so excused. You may step out.
When the other people moved out and I saw the rats and the, what are they called? Black widow spiders.
When she came in, she looked like your everyday nice person.
There was raccoon poop, all kinds. It was so disgusting.
And then she turned into what she is.
You need to look at absolutely every single thing and make sure that everything's perfect before you move.
And now the next case.
All parties on the matter of Carlson versus Sarich. Step forward.
Cassandra Carlson is suing her ex-boyfriend, William Sarich, for missed truck payments.
All right, Miss Carlson, you and the defendant were boyfriend and girlfriend for a period of time. And at some point in the relationship, and I have a feeling it was a couple of years ago, you decided to buy a car or a truck. The truck was purchased in your name. The loan is in your name. Mr. Starich was the co-signer on that loan. Was the car also titled in your name as well as the plaintiff's?
Yes.
Is that correct? Yes. So it was a joint title.
Yes, ma'am.
Now then the romance lost its bloom and the two of you separated. I'm going to get a timeline before we go any further. Month and year that the truck was purchased.
July 2008.
And when did the two of you split?
That's September.
And Mr. Starich, you kept the car with you.
Yes, Your
The
Honor.
truck
Yes,
with
Your
you.
Honor. And I believe the dates are wrong. So,
how off?
Well, we broke because we got the truck for my birthday, or around my birthday, which is June, and then we actually broke up about a month and a half later, which would be end of July.
Oh, right. But around that time.
Yep.
Not urgently important for the story.
Okay, Your Honor.
And how long did you keep the truck with you, sir?
I kept the truck through, I want to say, April of 2009.
And during that time, you were supposed to be making the payments on the truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you didn't make all the payments on
No,
the
Your
truck.
Honor, I did not.
How many missed payments did you have?
One or two. I don't exactly remember, to be honest with you.
Let's say two.
Okay, Your Honor.
And how much were the truck payments?
They were right around $600. I don't know the exact dollar amount.
$600 a month.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's say $1,200 you didn't pay. And Miss Carlson repossessed the truck
Yes.
in April of 2009.
Correct.
And then according to what I've read here, what I'm trying to piece together, you didn't want the truck. So you traded the truck in for a car and rolled over the loan in 2009 for your car. Is that right?
Correct.
What kind of a car did you buy?
A Jeep Patriot.
Now, you couldn't have done that in 2009 unless Mr. Starich signed off on the car and said you could sell it, because in effect what you did was you sold the car. And at that time, Mr. Starich, who owed $1,200 in past due payments, signed off his responsibility for the car to allow you to trade it in to get a car that you wanted. So far, is that correct?
Correct.
Now we are in 2012. 4 years after you purchased this car, and 3 years after it, and you want him to pay you $5,000.
Correct.
That's not happening. You asked him, according to you, if I'm going to believe the best of these stories, Mr. Starich, she asked you for some money for the missed payments that she had to make up, the $1,200 in payments that she had to make up.
Yes, Your Honor.
When was that?
That was 2011. I want to say either April or May.
It was March.
I stand corrected.
Now, I'd like you to tell me about that conversation, Mr. Starch. Had you spoken to her since 2009?
We had talked intermittently because we were still trying to be friends because we'd known each other
fine.
forever.
So she called you in March and said,
She was having troubles making payments. She called me, asked if I could help her out. Still trying to be friends. I decided to be the nice guy and help her out the best I could.
so how much money did you give her?
I believe I paid her for 6 or 7 months, so about $700
How much money did he give you?
He gave me 7 payments of 100 and 1 payment of 75. And we agreed in this conversation that we had that he agreed to pay me $8,200.
Well, he's not paying you $8,200, Ms. Carlson. He owed you $1,200. He owed
He did not owe me
$1,200.
$1,200. I have papers that actually come from the financial company that every payment that he made towards that truck got returned. So
you tell me how many months he had the car from September 2008 until April of 2009. September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, you took back the car. That's 7 months. And is what you're saying that no payments were made by him in that 7-month period?
no, they have it that there was a payment made, but then if you look at this, it says payment was reversed, payment was returned. There's late fees. There was a return check.
No, I want to know how many, listen to me.
Yes.
Look at that and tell me how many missed payments he had. He said he had 2. Take a pen and put a check next to the missed payments.
Well, the missed payments is also return checks.
Well, return checks that were not made up, then it was a non-payment, right? You would agree with that?
I would agree with that. And also, too, I started using money orders, too, because I had wrote him bad checks. So I started using money orders as well. So that's certified.
Well, all right, but the finance company would show how many payments were missed during that 7-month period. Because you drove the car, that's your responsibility.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to all the checks with the returns is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So is what you're telling me he made 0 payments during that 7-month period?
That's what it's telling me because we
then I have
agreed to pay.
Then I have to take a look at that.
Okay.
No, there are payments here.
But you can also see the agreement here that what we originally agreed to pay for the vehicle was $25,000.
It doesn't make any difference. What you should have done, madam, if he was signing off on the car, what you do is when you repossess the car, you sell it. If there is a shortfall on the sale, then you could sue him and say, listen, was your car. I merely co-signed for the car. This is a short sale on the car. You chose not to do that 3 years ago. What you chose to do 3 years ago was to repossess the car, which you have a right to do if he missed the payments, and you chose to buy another car of your choice. He signed off on the car, signed off his responsibility on the car. That's what you needed. And after that, he owes you nothing.
But the original vehicle was not my own, so he needs to be responsible for the road that
If you
were rolled
wanted him
over
to
on
be
top of it.
responsible, then what you do is 3 years ago, you take the car, you sell it, and say, this is what the shortfall is. The shortfall on the loan at this point is $4,000.
We agreed on that.
Not the shortfall on the $3,000. But now, 4 years later, you want $5,000, and I can, not for the life of me, think of how. I can't.
The
Did you
original
return this to
agreement
her?
was 89 that I rolled over. We had the conversation that said he was
It's not
responsible.
happening. I want to know how much money he paid you. $775?
Yes.
Is that what you paid her?
Yes, ma'am.
You still owe her $425, sir, on 2 missed payments. Is that what you say they were? I cannot figure that out.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, $425. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Let's step out.
I'm pretty sad about it because it's a verbal agreement that we had. If he doesn't believe that, then he shouldn't have had all the conversations with me telling me that he does owe.
I was slacking, but it's done and over with now.
We had conversations in person. We had conversations over the internet. He agreed to pay me.
She finally decided to make the rule because she's got to pay for a wedding she's going to have.
He was helping a friend. He had no job. He, couldn't do this.
It's all hearsay.
Can he make lower payments? Can he make a $50 a month?
We talked, but it was just more for me to buy time while I did research on my end to figure out what I had to do.
It was so damaged. He actually got in an accident from it. I couldn't drive it.
There was one cracked fog light. That was my last knowledge of it, and that was a snowbank.
I'm 26 years old, and I had to move back home because of him and his choices to not make payments.
I'm happy with it. I'm just glad things are finally over.
Never do it again.
Same exact thing. Never do it again.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Elliott versus D'Orenzo. Step forward.
Dawn Elliott is suing her former friend, 21-year-old Emma D'Orenzo, for breaking their apartment lease, defamation of character, and the return of furniture.
Miss Elliott, your complaint alleges that you and the defendant leased an apartment together. It was an 18-month lease. You've known the defendant for many years through her mother. It didn't work out. She moved out, and you want her to pay the balance of the lease.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss D'Orenzo says that it didn't work out because of you, and that you, as a matter of fact, indicated you were happy that she was going, and that in addition, she did, in fact, find a roommate for you who you did not accept. She's got some sort of a counterclaim that's nonsense, which I will dispose of in short order. When did you lease an apartment with her?
February 14, 2012.
And why did you lease an apartment with her?
I was looking for an apartment for myself. Emma has been basically a daughter to me.
You were looking for an apartment for yourself. Why?
I had been renting a house with my son, and I had purchased their own home. And so I wanted them to have their own home now, and I was looking for something for myself.
Had you been paying any portion of the rent when you were living with your son and daughter-in-law?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
$650 a month.
What kind of work do you do?
I run the office for my parents' business.
So you have a family business?
Yes, ma'am.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm a server at Rattlers.
How much do you earn?
Minimum wage hourly, and then tips. It varies, know, slow or busy.
But you're a minimum wage server plus tips. And how much is the apartment that the two of you rented?
It's $1,100 a month.
When did you stop getting along with the defendant?
In
month and year.
August 2012.
Tell me about it.
I found out that Emma was doing cocaine, and I was upset about it, upset about the cocaine being in my home. We had a conversation about it. She admitted that she had been doing it because I had a drug test in my hand. She said she wouldn't do it anymore, that she hadn't been doing it with any of her friends or her boyfriend.
Fine, that's in August. And?
Yes. And then, and that she would go see a therapist, and that I could drug test her anytime I wanted. And then we agreed that, we could go on from there.
Okay, and then?
And then in September, I found out that all of that was a lie, that she'd been doing drugs longer than just the time period that she had told me, that she was indeed doing it with her boyfriend, and that she had never gone to see a therapist.
Okay, so that's in September.
Right.
And what did you do?
I texted her and asked her to come home so we could discuss it.
Where was she when you texted her?
I'm not real sure.
Okay, and did she?
No.
And then what happened?
I've continued since then to try to get her to come home so we could have a conversation about it, and to this day, she never has.
Well, you say that you found an ad on Craigslist.
I found an ad on Craigslist stating that, first of all, that the rent was only $500 a month, and the rent isn't $500 a month.
I don't care what that is. You found this thing on Craigslist. You knew it was your apartment. What did you do?
And it also offered use to my personal property in the ad. My TV, my PlayStation 3, my Blu-ray player.
I'd like to see the ad. So what did you do when you found this?
I told her that I didn't want anybody...
So you did, in fact, speak to her?
Through texts.
So you spoke to her through texts?
Yes.
And?
And I told her that I didn't want to live with a stranger, but that if she had a friend or an acquaintance, that she knew that I'd be willing to meet with them.
And what did you do to find a substitute roommate?
I posted on my Facebook that I was looking for a roommate and talked to many of my friends.
Not enough.
Well, I don't think that I should be looking... Well, I am looking for a roommate because I need the money, but I wouldn't have moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. I would have only moved into a 1-bedroom had she not needed a place to live.
That's your problem. Based upon what you tell me, and I take everything that you say at face value, you say to me that you had a conversation with her about drug use in the apartment, which clearly made you unhappy.
Yes.
That you discovered a month later that everything she had told you, and I'm not even asking you whether any of that is true, but you found out that everything that she told you was a lie, that she's still using drugs, that she had been using drugs, and you don't allow drugs in your house. You also say in your complaint something that you left out, that she had a boyfriend, an older man that she gave according to you, that she gave a key to the apartment to, and you felt uncomfortable about that.
No. That wasn't until she moved out, and she returned her keys, but didn't return his keys.
Emma started paying rent later, and then only made partial payments. Then she met an older man, Blake, and gave him a key to the apartment without consulting me.
No.
Then you say, in August, I found cocaine in the apartment.
She had been dating him long before we even moved in together.
Well, I'm just reading what you wrote in your complaint. And from your complaint, it suggests that she met an older man, gave him the key to the apartment without consulting me. Then in August, I found cocaine in the apartment, and I do not allow drug use. Then you say Emma refused to talk to me. Instead, she started sneakily moving her things to Blake's house while I was at work and spreading terrible lies about me to my friends, family, and coworkers. In October, I found a Craigslist ad for a room to rent in my apartment.
Right.
Emma had posted it and was hiding it from me. What happens when you have a roommate and it doesn't work out is you have to be in a position to lessen the burden that you have for yourself by either finding someone or the person moving out has to find someone. Now, she couldn't find someone. You put parameters around it. You said, if you have a friend or somebody that you know, I'll listen, but I don't want to live with a stranger. I wouldn't blame you. I would never live with a stranger that I found on a website. Never. I also would not take a 2-bedroom apartment with somebody that I wasn't in love with.
Well, I was in love with her, ma'am.
Well,
I treated her like a daughter for 20 years.
Didn't work out.
I agree.
She's not going to pay you for the remainder of the lease.
Okay.
You have to find someone. Now, she moved out and paid rent for the last time in what month?
October.
Didn't pay rent for November.
Correct.
December.
No.
You have to pay rent for 3 months. November, December, and January. If in 90 days you don't find a roommate, you're on your own.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have 90 days to find somebody.
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Thank you.
Step out.
Everything was really great until, we were working together, we were living together. It might have just been too much.
I was just worried about her. Like I said, I thought of her as a daughter.
Living with close relatives or friends or family always, sometimes usually doesn't work out.
We had a housekeeper. She had a free rent of the house.
I was going through a really, really hard time.
She got to do whatever she wanted. Paid for her nails, bought her clothes.
I haven't been talking to her the past few months. It's been going downhill.
I'm just happy it's over with and we can move on.
I'm thrilled.
It's over with. We're done with it, and we can both move on with our lives.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeJesus versus DeJesus. Step forward, please.
20-year-old Ashley DeJesus is suing her mother, Elizabeth DeJesus, for an unpaid loan and 6 months' worth of utility bills.
How old are you, Mr. Jesus?
20.
This is your mother, and you claim that she owes you money for a loan that you made to her for groceries and stuff for your younger siblings. And then she asked you to put a utility bill in your name that she was supposed to pay. She did not pay it, and now there is a substantial balance.
Yes.
Your mother has a counterclaim. She says that you took her car and wrecked it. She has a counterclaim for $3,000. I'm going to start, Mr. Jesus, with your counterclaim.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask you some questions. When did your daughter have an accident with your car? What year? Month and year?
December 2011.
And what kind of car was it?
It's a Toyota Camry.
And who was the finance company on it?
It was actually my niece and my nephew's dad. He tried to help me because my son is on dialysis.
Just listen to me. Who was the finance company on the car?
It wasn't a financing company. It was with my sister ex-husband.
And how much was the car?
$3,500.
Now, this happened in December of 2011. Show me payments that you made of $300 a month this past year for that car.
I didn't bring the receipt from the payments.
I don't believe you.
I have notarized papers.
I don't read notarized papers. I read your answer and your counterclaim. Pay attention. Your answer and your counterclaim is that because your daughter wrecked the car, put that down. I don't read it up here, and I don't read it from back there. You now pay $300 a month for a car that you don't have. And I don't quite understand, so that's why I said I would really like to see your checks or money orders to the finance company who financed this car that you are in fact paying. Because then I know if you were a truthful, honest lady. Okay. Because that's what you swore to, that you were paying $300 a month. So now it turns out that there was no finance company. It was to a friend. And you didn't bring the papers with you to show me where you get the $300 a month from if you don't pay by check. Do you pay by check?
No, you're not.
No, of course not.
I do have the paper from the crush when I had to crush the car because the motor was.
I don't care.
Okay.
That's not what I'm talking about. Are you trying to throw me off track because I'm an old person?
I apologize, Your Honor.
I'm talking about not believing that you are paying anybody $300 a month for a car that you don't have. That's your counterclaim. And what you didn't bring was any proof that you are making those payments, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
So would you believe you if you were me?
Probably not.
Probably not. So that tells me who you are, because that's what you swore to in your papers. That's your counterclaim, that she owes you $3,000 because you've been paying it off. So I don't believe you. That's where we're starting. You're not starting from a good place. So your counterclaim's dismissed. How old are you?
40.
Your 20-year-old daughter is not supposed to give you money. You're supposed to give her money. You're supposed to, as the parent, put the utilities, her utilities for her first apartment in your name, not the other way around. Why did she put the utilities in her name? Because you asked her. And why was it necessary for you to have the utilities in her name?
Because
Give me the honest.
The honest
answer.
truth is that my utilities was too high and I needed too much money down to turn it on my name when my house burned. I had a house fire.
Why would you need so much money? Did you fall behind on your utility bill?
I was behind, Your Honor.
Just so you didn't pay just a second. So you didn't pay your utility bill. So you couldn't turn it on in a new residence. Is that
That's
what you're
correct.
telling me?
That's true.
This is the same person who's paying $300 a month for a car that she doesn't have. How much are the utility bills that your mother didn't pay?
It's 6 months worth. $1,747.96.
Who's supposed to pay that? She doesn't live there, does she?
No.
So who's supposed to pay it? Nobody? I mean, that's how you deal
I
with
was
things.
supposed to make that payment, but she did wreck my car, and it was a lot of money. And my son, I needed a car for my son dialysis. I went through a lot just to get my son to dialysis because what she did to my car. And I still had to make this payment. I make these payments on this car.
You don't have any proof of that, right?
I don't. I could give you the lady's number. You could call her.
I don't.
August 1st, 2012, she came to me and asked me, can she borrow $800 because the kids needed school clothes. So she came to me and I gave her $400 for the school clothes for all 3 kids and $400 for the groceries for the month.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an electronics salesperson at Walmart.
Who do you live with?
Me and my boyfriend live together. I'm pregnant with his child. And I have another child, a 2-year-old.
2 kids.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm done. I hope this is a girl.
Whatever. No.
Okay.
20. Till you come into yourself. Did your daughter give you $400?
$800, Your Honor.
$400 for school clothes?
Yes.
Were you supposed to pay her back?
Yes.
What about groceries?
She did give me $400.
Judgment for the plaintiff, the amount of $2,547. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I had to get another car. My son is on dialysis. I had to drive in. He sees life.
I don't got $3,000 to pay my aunt and her husband for that car.
It was muddy. When I got the car, it was mud from the front of the car to the back.
Oh, and money. I mean, if you borrow money, you're supposed to pay back.
I do anything for my babies, and I love them.
I think we're going to be stronger out of it. We will. We're going to be stronger. Plus, I'm pregnant, so she's happy about that. And she's going to help me every step of the way. I know.
She's a good mom.
Great mom. She's a great mom.
Just, we could get a better relationship and just go from here.
Come here, Mom. We love her. She's awesome.
David Self is suing his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, for a phone and gas money.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2087, Self versus Stroger.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is Self?
That's correct.
There are 2 parts to your claim. I'm going to get and take your hands out of your pockets.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to get and dismiss one of them and get to the one that is important. You and the defendant were in a dating sort of relationship. That dating relationship sort of continued for a while. At some point, you had an argument and she left you. She stranded you. That was in July of 2022. You say you had an argument, she drove off and she left you stranded. You had to get a hotel for the night. You had to pay a friend for gas money. Blah, 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 blah.
Correct.
Forget that. That's what happens when you have a fight with your girlfriend.
Okay.
Have a fight with your girlfriend. How old are you?
I'm almost 40.
Well, from someone almost 40, they know how to get home.
Correct.
Okay, good. So let's get to what your lawsuit is. It's really about a phone that you say the defendant is responsible for losing or taking.
Taking. I have video to
taking. And the defendant in some way acknowledges that she disposed of your phone, and she says she had very good cause to dispose of your phone. She's going to tell me why. So I'm going to get some dates from you, Mr. Self, and I'm going to, at the same time, explore what I see is her answer and her counterclaim.
Okay.
Now, after the two of you had broken up, Miss Stroger was at a bar, and she was at a bar on what date?
I would say that would be the 16th. It was actually on the 19th.
August 2nd.
Was it August
8-2. You see how...
She knows better about these dates than I do.
Well, but it's your case.
I understand that.
So let's say she's right, that it happened on August 2nd.
Okay.
And at that time, the two of you were no longer dating or a couple.
Yes.
And you were going to a bar. And when you got there, was the defendant there?
Not that I was aware of at the particular time.
You didn't see her?
I didn't see her, no.
What time did you get to the bar?
I'd say about 4 or 5.
Anybody else at the bar?
There's quite a bit of people there, to be honest.
How many people?
I'd say about 30.
Anybody you knew?
Quite a bit of people.
Of the 30 people there, how many people did you know?
I'd say at least 10.
But you indicate when you got there, you did not see the defendant.
No, I wasn't paying attention to her at the particular time.
Well, you say that there were 30 people in the bar,
Correct.
10 of whom you knew. So you knew some people, and this was a former girlfriend of yours with whom you had been close association and intimate, right?
Correct.
And you didn't see her.
Well, they have a back patio, and then they also have the indoor and everything like that. And then they have a front area, too, as well. So
Tell me, Mr. Self, when did you in fact see her?
it's when she was doing the bowling. And that was a little bit later on when I was playing pool.
About what time was that?
I don't know, probably like 7 or 8.
So you had been in the bar for between 3 and 4 hours.
Yes.
Okay, so now you're at the bar for 3 or 4 hours. And are your friends there, these 10 people that you knew?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to go back a little bit to the breakup that you two had.
Gotcha.
Was it a mutual breakup?
So what ended up happening and everything that we had a disagreement on the 23rd in Norco, and she left me stranded there. So I had to get another friend, give me a ride back to my residence.
I can't understand a word you're saying because you're speaking too fast.
On the 23rd,
Better.
she left me at a barbecue, and I had a friend give me a ride back to Riverside, California.
A friend who was at the barbecue.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you were at a barbecue with her,
That's correct.
and that was how far away from where you were living in Riverside?
I'd say about 20 minutes away.
And your friend was at the barbecue, and after you had an argument with her, your friend took you home.
Prior.
No, not prior. Is that what you just said to me?
In Norco, California, is when she left me at a barbecue. And then at the bar, or when we were down in Huntington Beach on the 30th, she left me. I have video that shows all that.
All right. I asked you whether the breakup was acrimonious. So one time she left you at a barbecue where you knew somebody who drove you home.
Correct.
And you didn't stay in a motel, you didn't do anything else. Okay, good. And then she did it again.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying to me?
Yes.
And the second time was when?
It was on the 30th.
Okay. And that is the time when you say you had to spend some time over. So after she left you the second time,
Yes.
is that when you no longer communicated with her?
That's correct.
Did you say, why did you leave me? How dare you leave me? You didn't have any communication by text or phone or anything else, is what I'm asking you.
So her cousin's supposed to play in a band. She showed up late. She was upset and distraught about showing up late.
Who showed up late?
We did, because I was with her.
I just need a date of that.
On the 30th.
Sir. I have on the 30th. So she was upset that you showed up late, and?
We showed up late to her cousin's thing. They're supposed to be at 2 o'clock. We got there about 2:05. She's upset about that. When we were driving down the road, because we're trying to find parking, which everybody was around and everything, she was getting upset and getting angry with another driver, to the point where I had to pull the e-brake to stop the vehicle as I thought she was going to run into it.
And then what
I tried to
happened?
de-escalate the situation as much as possible. Mind you, there's 2 minors are in the back.
I would just like to know, was the breakup, I'm trying to figure out, was the breakup acrimonious or mutual on the 30th? Who broke up with whom?
She left me.
She left you there.
That's correct.
On the 30th. After she left you there on the 30th, Did you have any communication with her?
I was done with it.
Just a second. So after the 30th, you didn't see her or communicate with her until you saw her on August 2nd, is what you're saying?
Yes. I didn't see her again.
Didn't see her again or communicate with her from the 30th of July until August 2nd, a few days later.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
I believe so. I can look at my records right now to see, but I don't believe I gave her a call or anything like that.
Okay. And when you saw her at the bar that you were in, you saw her later between 6 and 7. She was bowling. It's not an answer. The answer is yes.
Yes.
She was bowling. You were playing pool.
Correct.
And what this is about is your phone, which you're missing. So tell me about the phone, sir.
So I have a Note 10 Plus that was behind the bar at the time. Instead of going to my vehicle, which I typically charge it from that.
Just a second. So you were charging your phone at the bar.
Correct.
When had you put the phone in to charge it?
Later on that evening, around 10, maybe 11, I'm guessing.
10 or 11?
I'm guessing.
Just a second. 10 or 11. So.
Because there's a few times I actually go in there, I charge it, then I use it for a little bit.
Well, but you saw it the last time.
I apologize for that.
Last time you saw it, you plugged it in. It was like 10 or 11. So now you've been in the bar from 4 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
And she was there, at least as far as you know, from about 7 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
Keep going.
So I charge it, and
what were you doing with the phone all evening?
Talking, texting, texting and stuff like that.
Texting?
Communicating, yes.
To whom?
Friends.
Friends.
What's going on, social media, all the good stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyways, I was playing pool. I went outside, had a cigarette, and then that's when she, at 12:33 is when she ended up with her girlfriend looking around and all this other stuff. Like I stated before, I have the video that shows that on the camera. Would you like to see it?
So far, I'm not understanding you. So why don't you explain it to me, and then you can show it to me. So far, it's all a jumble. 12:30 at night.
12:33 is when she stole the phone.
Is when she stole the phone?
That's correct.
And you bought the phone when, sir?
About 2 years ago.
And how much did you pay for it?
I don't know, I think like $800, $700.
Well, this is your case. How am I supposed to figure out? You're suing for a phone that she took. How am I supposed to figure out how much she owes you for the phone if she took it?
I don't know how much I paid for it, but I know it retails for about $1,200.
Show me.
So I got the case cover.
What kind of phone was it?
The Note 10 Plus.
Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus is typically $395 to $512.
At this point in time, yes.
Well, that's what it would cost you to replace it.
Okay.
Now, you do not deny that you put your hands on his phone in a manner in which you intended to have it removed from his custody, which means, according to you, you took the phone out of the charger and threw it in the trash or trash someplace. So far, Mr. Self, the defendant acknowledges that she took the phone and trashed it.
All right.
And I want you to make sure that you answer my questions carefully. While you were at the bar between 7 and 12, did you ever show anyone at the bar a photograph of the defendant?
No, I did not.
Now I'll hear you.
So I got to the bar around 8:30 because I played darts that night. I did not see the plaintiff. I was playing bowling. There was an arcade game. And when he came in, he started showing videos of me.
That's incorrect.
Don't speak. There is a protective order in place. And if you want to vacate that protective order because you question service, you better do so. In the meantime, I suggest you stay very, very far away from her.
David Self claims his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, owes for a phone and gas money. Joangela is countersuing for harassment.
Now, did you see him showing videos of you to anyone at the bar?
I saw him showing videos.
But didn't see what they were?
No.
I would never do such a thing. Apologize.
Could you stand up, please? Absolutely. Do you know Mr. Self?
I do.
Tell me your name.
Amy.
Amy what?
Clack.
Were you at the bar on the 2nd of August?
I was.
And you know the defendant?
Yes, she's a friend of mine.
And what about Mr. Self? How do you know him?
As her ex-boyfriend.
Be careful of what you answer me. Did you see what Mr. Self was showing on his phone?
I did not see what he was showing on his phone. I saw him showing the phone, and I had friends who came up to me to see if I had seen it.
You can't tell me what your friends told you.
Understand.
You can sit down. Now, Ms. Stroger, your answer, and of course your counterclaim, involved the fact that Mr. Self was showing intimate pictures of you that he had maintained on his phone. So far, we don't have a witness to that. So what I want you to tell me is whether or not you personally had a conversation with Mr. Self about those videos on that night on August 2nd.
I asked him not to show video of me around the bar that night.
You did have a conversation with him?
Yeah, because he approached me.
Put your hand down. I want you to tell me about the conversation.
He approached me basically...
I don't want to hear basically.
He approached me
what time?
saying hi about 9:30 that night. Approached me saying hi. I told him I didn't want anything to do with him, that I had seen him showing videos, and that I was told that it was sexual videos of myself.
And what did he say?
He said he can do what he wants with his phone and walked away.
Do you recall that conversation, Mr. Self?
There was no conversation that took place. The only video...
No. Slowly. There was no conversation,
There was no conversation
that
whatsoever
took place.
that took place about anything like that. What video I did have was her being irate over there in Huntington Beach. So if you'd like to see that too as well.
No, I'd like to see the videos that she says that you have of her on your phone.
I don't have any videos of her like that on my phone.
Did you delete them?
I don't have...
Just a second. Oh, he has a new phone. Got it. He has just on them. He has a new phone. Well,
I did have a letter stating that he did get the backup and he's got all the videos again.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
I do have a backup. Once I...
Just a second.
Okay.
He sent this to my boss at 1:30 in the morning. 2:43, sorry.
Mr. Self, this was sent by you to her boss on the 9th of August.
Okay.
Would you tell me the purpose of sending this letter to her boss?
She does very good at showing that she's a good person and all the other good stuff.
No, I don't think, listen to me. I don't necessarily think anything.
Okay.
I think any woman that allows photographs to be taken of her, intimate photographs that she would not want put on the... I'm speaking.
Okay.
I'm speaking that she would not want posted on the front page of a local newspaper.
Correct.
I think that that's foolish.
Yeah.
I do. And I know a lot of people do it. I do a shout out every once in a while and say that that's stupid to do. And I think certainly if you were showing those videos or those photographs to anyone at the bar because you were annoyed with her or whatever, you thought it was fun, I think that that's
childish.
Sad, maybe worse. What I want to know is, after this all happened, why you sent this email to her boss.
Because the thing is this, that she is trying to pin me as a bad guy or something like that, is what she's really trying to do. She's trying to manipulate it to be on her side. She lies and manipulates all the time. And I've seen that because I was with her. I should know. Okay? The thing is this, I have the video of her over there in Huntington Beach being irate, unable to have a conversation.
I don't care if she's irate, sir. Right now, she has no proof that you were showing videos of her at the bar that evening.
Yes.
You don't have that because that's your counterclaim. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that, then I have to dismiss your counterclaim.
But there's also harassment and stalking that he's been doing.
Okay. I have to dismiss that part of your counterclaim, which is for revenge porn. Okay. Now, you're going to tell me about the stalking, and first I'll take a look at a police report.
The police report, unfortunately...
Just a second. If you don't have it...
I have a restraining order, and the police...
Just a second. Do you have a restraining order that's in effect now?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Also, Your Honor, too, I have also...
No, I'm not...
Okay.
I didn't ask you anything. Were you adhering, Mr. Self, on this protective order?
I never even got served papers at all for anything.
I have proof of service.
Was there a signature on it?
Well, Mr. Self, she has a restraining order that's, and the hearing date was August 25th, 2022. She appeared. You're supposed to stay away from her. I'm just telling you. And I'm telling you, considering the fact, and I don't know whether you were released from prison recently. Are you still on parole?
I'm on parole right now, yes.
Okay. Well, if you're, I didn't ask you anything. Well, if you're on parole, Mr. Self, and you say you weren't served with this restraining order, I would strongly advise, sir, that you retain counsel and question service
Yeah, I've contacted my probation officer. They're well aware of the situation.
Don't tell me what they're aware of. I'm telling you that there is a protective order in place.
Gotcha.
And if you want to vacate that protective order because you question service of that protective order, you better do so.
Okay.
In the meantime, I suggest you stay very, very far away from her.
He called me yesterday.
I called you yesterday?
Yes. Don't speak to her. Tell me what the conversation was yesterday.
I was on my way to work and I didn't know the phone number. So I answered it and he said, please just give me a minute. And I hung up.
Did you call her yesterday from that phone?
There is a phone.
Just a second. That would be a yes.
Yes.
Okay. And you know this situation is hostile.
Yes.
And you knew you were coming here today.
That's correct.
Would you tell me, please, why you called her yesterday?
I didn't mean to call her by any means. It's pocket dialed her.
Well, if it butt called her or pocket dialed her, sir, that means that you were able to transfer all the information that you had on your old phone into your new phone, because after the experience that you had at the bar, there would be no reason for you to have her number in your phone.
I know.
Unless you just transferred.
I got it right here.
Well, if you got it, listen to me. If you got it right here, then it wasn't a butt call. So you can either butt call when, am I wrong about that? You know, I'm not technically sophisticated, but I do know this. I can't think into my phone. Now, maybe there is a phone that you can think into. I'd say, well, I have her number right here. You can't say, am I missing something here?
You might only butt dial me because I'm in your favorites, but.
Why would you send this to her boss?
It shows that she lies and manipulates and all this other stuff to get her way.
I'm at a point where I don't actually believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar.
David Self is accusing his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, of throwing away his phone. Joangela is countersuing, claiming David shared private photos of her.
Okay, so you called her. You want to tell me why you called her yesterday?
I accidentally called her.
What's her number doing in your phone?
Because I keep all the numbers and everything just in case I have to get a hold of somebody. Because you know how many times I've been with her and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth?
Yeah.
Tons of times. You know what I mean?
You know, something, Mr. Self. I don't believe you, sir.
Okay.
I don't believe you, and I don't believe that there was ever any reason for you to contact her boss. I think she has an order of protection.
Okay.
I'd like to see proof of service. Do you have it?
Yes. Oh, it's not connected with that. I'm sorry. If not, I have a picture of the service in front of his house.
Yeah. Server's name. So it was personal service.
And I do have a video after the fact of what she's talking about, the individual coming to the house. So I recorded
I'm just
that.
reading the proof of service, sir. You said you weren't served.
I
I'd like to
served.
see proof of service. If you had proof of service, you were served.
I wasn't served.
Okay.
Just because you take a picture in front of the house and everything doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Why is that? I wasn't even at the residence at the time.
They took a picture of me.
Yeah, I would suggest to you, Mr. Self,
Stay away.
I would suggest to you that hire a lawyer.
Okay.
If you think that the service was improper, I'm satisfied with it, and another judge was satisfied with it, and I still don't understand why you wrote to her boss. Why you wrote to her boss afterwards. Any other communications?
To my boss, yes.
May I see it, please? Well, this is also written on August 9th, sir. This is from you, and it's a very graphic email to her boss. You want to take a look at it?
I do indeed.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to show it to you.
Okay. Thank you. So this is really just stating the individual that they hired, that they...
Now, I'm just asking you whether you sent that to her boss.
That is my email address, and that looks
Yes,
like my
so-
writing. That's correct. Or
Just-
my-
the question is, did you send that to her boss?
Indeed.
Okay. May I have it, please? And that was after the events, a week after the events of the 2nd of August, right?
Okay, yes.
You want to tell me why you sent that to her boss?
Well,
I mean, it's not telling that she's a thief. You have to be careful of her. It's talking about sexual things.
where is it saying sexual things in that?
Oh, very easy. You say, She lies to her boss about cramps while we lay in
She
bed.
is literally taking off of work saying that she's, sick or
So I'm asking you why. Why would you send this to her boss?
It shows that she lies and manipulates and all sort of stuff to get her way.
Okay.
The fact of nature, I understand that I've been to prison and all sort of stuff. I could be the bad guy and all that great stuff. I understand that.
I'm not saying she's a good person.
Correct.
I'm not saying you're a bad person.
Correct.
She's got to pay for her phone.
Yes.
You got to pay for this. Because I'm at a point where I don't actually believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar. I don't believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar.
I would never do such a
Just
thing.
a second. Well, the same person who would never do such a thing wrote to her boss that you were present when she called her boss and said, I can't come to her because I have cramps, and she was laying in bed with you.
Correct.
Okay? And that same person wouldn't show a picture.
No.
No. Okay, good. On your counterclaim, I am awarding you $5,000 on your counterclaim. From that, I'm taking off the $500 because he had no right to trash his phone. There are alternatives. One of them is not trashing his phone. Therefore, ordering on the counterclaim a judgment for the defendant in the amount of $4,500. Plaintiff's case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
She gets away with it again.
The judge is very fair. Unfortunately, he tried to make me look like the bad guy, but the judge can see right through him.
Did I show her videos? Yes, why she was being irate over there at Huntington Beach.
That he's showing sexual videos of me and him.
The nudes and all that stuff? No. Why would I do something like that?
I went black, and that's the only reason why I threw the phone in the trash in the first place, because I felt helpless.
She sold me on this great person and everything, but come to find out, you know what, it's not what it is.
I gotta just be more careful with their phone around.
I guess, Sarah, it's because of my generation. But I've been saying for a very long time, even before the internet, because, I was, in fact, young at some point in my life, and they did have all kinds of cameras and Polaroid cameras back in the day. But never take a photograph of yourself or allow a photograph to be taken that you wouldn't like to see on the front page of the New York Times. And now with social media, I think that that's more true than ever. To me, why would you post anything or take a picture, allow a picture to be taken that might later embarrass you?
I agree to an extent, but I disagree with you that in this case, because the defendant mentioned that the plaintiff had taken some of this video and photo without her permission. And I think that now it can get a little bit blurry as to, well, I didn't approve my photo taken. Obviously, a sexually explicit photo getting sent to your boss is not the intended purpose of that photo. I think whoever sends that photo, misdirecting the intention of the photo, is the one that should be held accountable, not the person that was sending it in for a purpose of a long-distance relationship. There's many reasons why now people might send photos that they wouldn't want plastered on the front page of the New York Times. But as the recipient of a photo like that,
you're not supposed to republish it.
You have a responsibility, if you care enough about that person, to keep its intended purpose private.
I absolutely agree with you. But it is bad judgment, so I don't mind repeating at least my perspective, which is if you don't want to see it out there, don't take it.
Morgan Larson is suing defendant Chris Bumgardner for vandalism after his 16-year-old son damaged her car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2101, Lawson versus Bumgardner.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Larson, it is your claim that the defendant's son, I assume that's this young man over here, vandalized your car. And he vandalized your car by smashing in a side mirror.
Yes, ma'am.
Which required you to be without a car for a day while they fixed it. So you want his father, who was actually present at the time, to pay for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
From what I gather, this happened on Father's Day, which was June 19th of this year, and you were going over to visit your father.
Yes.
For Father's Day. Stand up. What I gather from your complaint, was he sleeping?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Some sort of an altercation happened, which you'll tell me about in a moment. His father was called.
Yes, ma'am.
His father came. This kerfuffle continued. And when they were on their way out, this young man, whose name is?
Caden Bumgardner.
Caden smashed in your passenger mirror. And his father says, well, he actually saw him do that, but it was just pushing in the window, the mirror, and really all you had to do was pull it out and it would have been fine.
Right.
That's your defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's start out when you arrived at your father's house. What time?
I arrived at my father's about, I would say, about 11:15.
Okay.
and it woke up Caden in the process. Caden got upset.
What did he say? How did you know he was upset?
He started screaming and pretty much saying, why the heck are you coming in here, waking everybody up? You have no right to.
Okay.
And then after that, Caden got up and started yelling, started punching the walls, screaming. My father went in there, and then his father, Chris, ended up getting called to come get Caden.
How far do you live from where Miss Larson's father lives?
About 7 miles away.
How old is your son?
He's 16.
Is he the oldest one of your children, and the middle?
The youngest.
Any other children at home other than him?
No, ma'am.
So he's the baby and he's home?
Yes.
Who sets the rules for him?
Well, I do.
Where did you think he was going?
No, I knew he was over they had something to do for Mother's Day, and then they had...
That was Father's Day.
Well, I know, but I'm saying for the entire...
Mother's Day is in May, Father's Day is in June.
But they
usually don't have carryovers.
Planned, I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, he was over there.
Times have changed. Life has changed. The only time you got to sleep outside your house when I was growing up was when you were outside in a pine box or a white dress. That was it. Those were your choices.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the way you could leave your parents' house, right? I chose the dress. All right. Now, Caden, I'm going to come around to you because, we're not talking about somebody losing 2 pints of blood.
Yeah.
Or somebody losing a finger.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to wake up a teenager at 11:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually ready for dinner at 11:30 in the morning. But teenagers, they're still growing, so they sleep late. But you were particularly annoyed when Miss Larson came in, right?
Yes.
Why?
Well, she did put it the right way, but she didn't put it the right way because...
But just tell me why.
Well,
Don't look at her. Talk to me.
She didn't just wake her up. She came in there loud.
When she walked in, Caden, to a room in her father's house, what did she say? And tell me in what tone of voice she said it.
She said in a excited voice, but not like a mad voice, excited voice.
All right, and that got you mad.
No, that's not what got me mad.
What got you mad?
By the time I could even finish my sentence, she's already busted in through the door and was in my face saying, you got something to say to me.
Just a second. You're not following me. She came in, and the first thing you said was she was talking too loud, and I want to know what you said to her.
I didn't say nothing to her.
Nothing.
Nothing. I didn't even look at her.
And then she left, so...
She cussed at me, but then she walked in there and she later said...
Who cussed at you?
Her. And then she later said that
just
she
a
was
second. I didn't get to that part, that she cussed at you. If you didn't say anything to her, what would she cuss at you?
Because she got a phone call from her saying that she wants me to get ran out of the house. That's how this all started.
Just a second. Oh, that's a different story. Okay, so what you're saying to me is you believe that she came over for the purpose of getting you out of the house.
I believe so, yes, because that's what I got told.
Well, let us assume for a moment that's true. That would sound right to me. Get him out of the house. It's 11:30 in the morning on Father's Day. We want to have a party here. Get him out of the house. That would sound right on the money to moi. Right on the money. I mean, if that's what it was about. So I don't care if that's what it was about or not. Okay. Your father comes. What happened when you got there, sir?
When I showed up, I went to the door, I knocked on it, they answered the door, it was
Look at me.
It was pretty chaotic.
Describe what chaotic is.
Okay, there was a bunch of yelling and screaming going on between Caden, my son, and the plaintiff.
And Miss Larson.
Miss Larson, yes. And I told my son, I said, hey, you just need to step outside and let me figure out what's going on here, and I'll be right out. I tried to talk to Mark. Mark come out of the room.
Who's Mark?
That's the father. He was being very disrespectful, he said, and he said he wanted him to leave. I said, okay, that's no problem. I'll get him
Just
out
a second. The father came out of the room and said, I want Caden to leave.
Right.
And did he leave?
When I come and got him, we left. Yes, we did.
And he walked out the front door.
Yes, he did.
And when he walked out the front door, he passed the plaintiff's car.
Yes, I believe so.
What do you mean? You wrote it in your answer, sir.
Yes, I did.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
And you saw him do what to the mirror? Don't minimize what he did. I would have slapped him upside the head if I saw him take his hand and knock off somebody's mirror. I really didn't mean that. I don't believe in corporal punishment.
Amen.
And later today.
What do you think that I think of a person who says, okay, I'll go with you to this very, very sad time. Someone who I've been close and intimate with for months, but it's going to cost you $900.
Morgan Larson claims Chris Bumgardner's 16-year-old son, Caden, vandalized her car.
Now, you saw him do what to the mirror?
Push it in.
Okay, very good. Now, do you have photographs of the pushed-in mirror?
I do.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, one moment.
Just for my own curiosity, you knew that it was wrong for him to touch that mirror.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and if what you say is he just pushed the mirror in and all it had to do is be, you believe, to be clicked out?
I believe to be
just,
clicked out.
Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you say to him, don't touch somebody else's property? That's what this is all about.
Well, I
Your
believe
temper.
I did say that to him.
Just
I
a
said,
second.
Don't put your
Well,
hand.
then why didn't you pull out the mirror if that's all it was? If you say the only thing
because
wrong
she
with the
was
mirror is
coming
that it has to be pulled out, why didn't you do that? You didn't see him touch the mirror.
No, I did not.
You were there.
She was right behind us.
She didn't see it. You saw it. So my only question to you is if you saw it and it was that minor thing, and you know what it is, either you can click the mirror in and then you pull it out. I'm always afraid to click it out that I'm going to break it.
Exactly.
You're not suggesting that anybody else touched this mirror to damage it. No. Okay, let's see. What did he use on the mirror, sir? What did he use to hit the mirror?
I believe it was his hand.
When you say you believe it was his hand, did you see what was in his hand?
He had nothing in his hand.
Did his hand get bloody?
No.
Okay, Kevin, would you turn these over to the defendant, please, and get from the plaintiff